is out ill this evening, and I'm wondering if someone would be interested in moving to excuse her.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Anyone opposed to the motion to excuse Deputy Mayor Carr, please state your opposition. All right. Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And we'll go to the roll call, please.
Mayor Dexter?
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Here.
Councilmember Hodgson?
Good evening.
Councilmember Miller?
Here.
Councilmember Schwab?
Here.
Councilmember Suggs?
Here.
Manager West?
Present.
Attorney Sahandi?
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If you can please stand as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We do have a proclamation this evening. I don't know if any of you rode your bikes here, but it would have been appropriate if you did. It would be appropriate if you did. We don't have anyone receiving this evening, but it's still a fun one to do. So tonight I have a proclamation in recognition of Bike Everywhere Month, May 2026. Whereas Bike Everywhere Month is a time to support, encourage, and celebrate all things bicycling. The celebration runs the whole month of May 2026. The best way to celebrate Bike Everywhere Month is simply to get on a bike, ride to work or school, ride to the grocery store or library, or just ride for the sheer joy of being outside and enjoying nature. And whereas, whether you are riding for fun, fitness, or with family, or take essential trips to work or shop, you are part of the movement for safer streets, connected communities, a healthier planet, and healthier and happier people. And whereas the City of Port Angeles has approved a form-based code that intentionally puts more emphasis on non-motorized transportation, accessibility, and land uses that promote alternative transportation options. And whereas the Olympic Discovery and Waterfront Trail passes through the city and provides miles of scenic beauty for bicyclists on this multi-use trail. And whereas Phase 1 of the Race Street Complete Street project has concluded and encompasses many exciting improvements. There is now bicycle access from 8th Street to the turn at Hurricane Ridge Road, running 3,100 linear feet. In an effort to improve safety, 31 solar-powered lamps and 330 linear foot concrete barrier were installed along the shared use path to protect pedestrians and bicyclists using the path. And whereas the City of Port Angeles is participating in the Bike Miles Riding Challenge, employees and community members are encouraged to track their miles throughout the month through the Love to Ride program. Now, therefore, I, Kate Dexter, Mayor, on behalf of the City Council of Port Angeles, do hereby declare May 2026 as Bike Everywhere Month, and hereby resolve that the City of Port Angeles joins all residents in participating in healthy, fun activity of bicycling. Further, the City of Port Angeles pledges to maintain its commitment to supporting bike-friendly neighborhoods and an environmentally friendly community. This May, we encourage you to get outside and go for a bike ride. We're sure you will have a really good time. Thank you. All right. I'm going to pause for just a second because I need my phone for public comment timers for folks online, and I left it in the bag that's sitting tagged on the back of my chair real quick. So hold on one moment. All right, thank you for your patience. All right, next up is late items. Are there any late items from staff?
Mayor and Council, no late items from staff this evening.
All right, I have one late item I wanted to bring up based on the number of emails that we've received in the last week regarding particularly the potential of a ICE detention center here and the fact that many other communities have passed resolutions or done moratoriums or something along those lines to protect their community from that potential use of space. And I I do know, because I've done some research in the last week, that there is not currently anything in the works that we need to be concerned about. But I've also asked our federal delegation to keep their eyes peeled and let us know if they hear of anything. But I wanted to check in with council and see if there is an interest based on that concern from our community about talking about that sometime later this summer. Okay, I'm seeing lots of headings.
Yeah, if you're asking if we can put this as a late item on a future agenda, I support
Yes,
that.
absolutely. I think it's a process. We want to do it right. So I'm certainly not suggesting we add it to tonight's agenda, particularly since it's not imminent. All right, thank you. Okay, that brings us to our first public comment period. And I want to, so I will just actually shorten that thought in case anyone here is about that. We will have a conversation about that as a council sometime later this summer to discuss what the right path would be. That gives us staff some time to give us some options. So that brings us to first public comment period. And our first public comment period, I see some new faces in the audience, is for items on tonight's agenda. And then the second public comment period is open for other city-related topics. So I will, I have people signed up and we'll prioritize those. So for this first list, people for items on tonight's agenda, and then at the end, we don't have a sign-up sheet. You can just come in. So if you are joining us virtually, now is the time to raise your hand. We'll do council chambers first and then go to online comments. And it looks like there are 2 items for first public comment period, and the first person is Bradley Calloway. And just as a reminder for folks, please state your name and whether or not you're a resident. If you're in council chambers, the lectern lights keep track of your time for you. And if you are online, I will keep track for you. Go ahead, Bradley, when you're ready.
All right. Good evening, Bradley Calloway, they, them, city resident. I'm speaking today in opposition to item I2, which is the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission HB 2015 grant award and contract. Remember what police officers actually are, not what you want them to be. Police officers straddle the line between an implicit and an explicit threat, used to curtail behavior, primarily through intimidation and occasionally through actually exercising their state-sponsored monopoly on violence. A monopoly that is used to send vulnerable populations into prison complexes, where they are forced to work whether they want to or not, in what is explicitly and legally called slavery. Look at the tactics of modern policing agencies. Invasive ALPR cameras being used to spy on civilian travel without warrants, bringing guns and tasers into nonviolent situations, constant issues with officers throughout the state and nation engaging in escalatory behavior, widespread failures to meet even the barest standards of training in de-escalation, humane treatment, and compassionate interaction that have been set by Washington state law. Are you sure you want more of this activity in our community? Yes, Chief Smith and our local officers show admirable restraint compared to national averages and compared to most police departments. But the more variables you add, the more people you hire, the higher the chances that someone will slip through the cracks. And we won't find that out until that person causes a problem. Just like what happened when the police department, just like ours, shot 11-year-old Victor Perez in his own backyard in Idaho last year. We need enough officers to respond to truly violent events. And we need no more than that. Our police department is more than large enough to handle the actual threats to public safety that are present in our community, and adding more officers will do nothing but create a hammer looking for nails. We have so many things that the city needs help with. Why spend money putting more armed, militarized police onto our streets when we could instead use that money to reduce police workload while actually improving the lives of city residents and visitors? We can focus on creating actual community resilience, building towards human-centered problem solving, forming compassionate response teams, unarmed, non-militarized code enforcement units, and other systems and methods of person-focused enforcement that don't come at the risk of lives and health of our community members or our city residents. Remember that there is far more than just money at stake here. This would also come at cost to our community. Reject this grant, reject this contract, reject raising our sales tax to fund solutions that lack problems. and focus instead on actually solving the very real problems that our city has. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next person on tonight on the sign up list that is for tonight's agenda, based on my read of the sign up sheet, is Tracy Abel.
Hello, Tracy Abel, city resident. I'm also speaking on the police grant. My wish is that you would vote down the grant for 4 additional police officers. This grant is said to support the strategic plan's focus on public safety and peace of mind in the community. And I disagree on that because it's a common misconception that policing was formed to provide public safety. It was not. Policing grew out of the slave patrols, you know, the men that hunted down and returned enslaved people to their so-called owners. So that was all about protecting property, in that instance, human beings, and it had nothing to do with public safety and everything to do with protecting economic interests and the status quo. That continues today. What does make us safer? Meeting people's basic material needs like housing, food, healthcare. However, if you do vote in favor of those 4 additional police officers, I have requests. None of the grant funding or sales tax required to pay for additional officers can ever be used for surveillance, such as automatic license plate readers. You did the right thing in taking them down. Thank you so much. And now we need a permanent ban on them. The tweaks that were made in the legislature this spring, they're cosmetic at best. All the data that is collected is at risk, and there isn't a guardrail in existence that can protect the data of especially vulnerable people like immigrants and survivors of abuse. So we need a permanent ban now, please. Also, those new officers must understand they cannot collaborate with ICE or Border Patrol. They cannot aid in the abduction and detention of people. We do, you know, they need to know that they have to abide by the Keep Washington Working Act, and we just have to stand very firm on this. It makes me nervous. The more people that are in the mix, the more data that's in the mix, the higher the chances for harm to people. So anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in council chambers on tonight's agenda? All right, is it for tonight's agenda, Sherry? Okay, go ahead. And I have one hand online, so we'll go to that after we hear from our former mayor.
I'm Sherry Kidd, a resident of Port Angeles. I would like to make a comment at the end of the program about something else, but public safety is so important to our community. I had the great fortune of being born and raised in Port Angeles, going to our local schools and participating in our local clubs and playing on our local playgrounds. This is a beautiful community. We have millions of visitors every year. Public safety is so important to each and every one of us and to our families. I'm delighted that we have an opportunity for 4 officers. How fabulous it is. What wonderful. The 911 is busy, busy, busy all the time. Our officers are so busy. Thank you, Chief Smith and your department for doing such a good job with limited resources and limited staffing. We need a safe community for all of us. We want to have a police department that can protect our homes, our lives, our properties, so we can all prosper. It's important for the quality of life for everyone who lives here and that visits here. And I hope we will have an opportunity to include a downtown resource officer once we have more staffing too, because of our millions of visitors that we want to have. them to come to a safe and beautiful environment where we all are happy walking around town at day or night. So I'm delighted we have this opportunity. It's wonderful. And I hope on behalf of all of our citizens, born and unborn, yet everyone, that you will take this opportunity, this wonderful opportunity for our public safety and accept this grant. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I have 2 hands online now, so we will start with Susie Blake. The sun is here. It's going to be an issue. See who else. Let me get my timer ready. All right. Hold on. Wrong button. Susie, are you there? It looks like you are unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead. I'll start your
Thank
time.
you. Susie Blake, Port Angeles resident. I just want to speak briefly in support of I-2 and L1. I did listen a couple times to Chief Smith's presentation at the last meeting about the grant. Very excited and appreciate all the work the department put into getting this grant. I moved here from a completely different state with a different history and in their police action and state regulation and law enforcement and different experiences. So I came to this state with a very critical eye towards police action. And literally the day we were unpacking our moving truck was my first experience observing Port Angeles officers in action, when a man having a mental health episode was having outbursts in front of a vacant house on the street. And after observing him for a while, I hesitated to call police because I was afraid something might happen to him. But then his behavior escalated and I did. And I watched an officer come and approach him in such a community-oriented, trauma-informed manner and spend some time communicating with this suspect and de-escalating him, and ended up providing him some direction of somewhere else to go. And from that moment on, every time I've observed our police department, I've seen how upstream their actions are, how community-oriented our officers are, and how they work to support everyone, both people who need law enforcement intervention and the people complaining. I've had no hesitation in expressing concerns, frustrations, and complaints to Chief Smith, and he's been probably the most responsive person I've dealt with in the city in addressing issues. And so I just really hope that you will support this grant. And I hope that you will take time to go back and read thoroughly through the report he's prepared. I skimmed through it this afternoon on my lunch break, and I see some incidents in there that I'm very familiar with, because living in Central Port Angeles, there are a lot of dangerous things that happen. But I just really want to express my appreciation for everyone on our police force and all the work they do in this grant. And I hope that you will support it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. We'll go to Renee, and then we have one other name, one other person with a hand up. So I will get my timer ready again. And Renee, you will need to unmute yourself. You have been given permission to do so.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, so I'm going to start your timer now.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm speaking to item I2, Renee Paradis, non-resident of Port Angeles, Clallam County. I am speaking to item I2. I would like to second the brilliant comments made by Bradley Calloway and Tracy Abel. I'd like to further say that public safety is not a direct result of more boots on the ground, and 911 calls are not a measure of a need for more police, and that mental health crises do not belong in the house of the police department. And I have a question that I know you won't answer, but if any money were to be used for the police department, I would encourage it to be used for additional de-escalation training, because I'm unclear of what type of training the police do receive. That's all I have. Thank you. Thanks again for hearing my comments.
Thank you. we'll go to Christopher Pruden, and then we will move on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can't hear you, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Go ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Christopher Pruden. I'm a Clown County resident. I also do outreach work in the community. I just want to keep it short and sweet, but yeah, I want to come out and say I do support this grant. I working in the community, I see how spread thin our resources are within the police force, and they need more support, not less. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Don't have any more hands. So we do have a second public comment period at the end of the meeting. So if folks have, I have a couple people here on the list that are for the next public comment. We'll start with them. All right. That brings us to, I need to turn my agenda over. All right. That brings us to the consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from the consent agenda? All right. Anything anyone would like to add to the consent agenda? Drew, go ahead. So I just turned to Drew because his hand usually goes up.
At this point, what would you guys do if I don't make any suggestions?
Right.
It would be an extra hour and a half worth of meeting. So the first one I would like to suggest is G1, the 2026 Budget Amendment 1, conducting the first reading and then continuing to our May 19th meeting.
Any opposition to adding that? Okay.
I3, increased fire department capacity. Second peak ambulance unit, approve and authorize.
Any opposition to adding that? Do you want to hear the presentation?
I would like to hear the presentation.
Can we still add it to the consent?
Not if we're going to do a full presentation.
Okay, valid. J1, first front pedestrian enhancement, TL0222 to award construction contract, award amend and authorize.
Any opposition to that? Okay.
And then J2, Olympic Discovery Trail Maintenance Contract, SVC 2026-07, award construction contract, award and authorize.
Any opposition to that? Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. Anything else? Great. All right. We will add those items and I will read the consent agenda. The minutes from April 21st, 2026. Expenditure report from April 11th, 2026 through April 24th, 2026 in the amount of $1,946,116.85. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office PENCOM warrant and order entry agreement. Facility use agreement, MAC Athletics Incorporated. 2026 budget amendment number 1, first reading. First and front pedestrian enhancements, TR0222 award construction contract. Olympic Discovery Trail Maintenance Contract, SVC 2026-07, award construction contract. Any comments, questions, or a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All right, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read. Anyone opposed to the motion, please state your opposition. All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. So that brings us to item I1, an economic development report, and I'm going to go to Shannon for that.
Thank you for your continued leadership and commitment to advancing economic development in our community. Your direction, support, and willingness to invest in long-term success truly set the tone for the progress we're seeing across the city. Tonight, we're proud to present an update on the strong and meaningful work being carried out by the Community and Economic Development Department, alongside our many valued partners, to support a thriving and growing local economy. This work reflects not just city efforts, but a shared commitment across organizations, businesses, and community leaders who are all working toward the same goal: building a resilient, vibrant, and opportunity-rich community. You'll hear more about our partners later in the presentation, but I want to take a moment up front to recognize how critical those partnerships are. The city places a high value on collaboration and actively invests in it, committing over $500,000 annually to partner organizations that help advance economic development initiatives, support businesses, and strengthen our local economy. These partnerships allow us to extend our reach and deliver meaningful results in ways we simply couldn't do alone. And as to the why behind this work, this is National Small Business Week, which makes it an especially fitting time to highlight the importance of local businesses in our community. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. They are entrepreneurs who take risks, create jobs, activate our downtown, and bring character and identity to our neighborhoods. We deeply value our local small businesses, community, and recognize the entrepreneurship that is a key driver of economic vitality. A strong small business environment is essential not only for economic growth, but for creating the kind of place where people want to live, work, and invest. From our downtown core to our neighborhoods throughout the city, small businesses play a critical role in shaping vibrant and connected community. With that, we're excited to walk you through the progress we've made, the partnerships that make it possible, and the continued opportunities ahead. It is my pleasure to introduce our long-range and special projects administrator, Angel Torres, who will lead you through the report.
Thank you, Shannon. Got a little bit of a mess here. Good evening, council and members of the community. For those I've not yet met, my name is Angel Torres. I'm the Long Range and Special Projects Administrator here with the city's Community and Economic Development Department. And I appreciate the opportunity to provide this update. Tonight's update will take about 20 minutes, and I ask that you please hold your questions to the end if possible. The report focuses on economic development work that has been moving across several areas over the past year: business support, reinvestment, customer service, permitting, planning, funding implementation, and partner coordination. Much of this work starts with what is already here: businesses, workers, institutions, investors, and public systems that help support investment. The focus is growth from within, which closely aligns with National Small Business Week. That means strengthening the local foundation while preparing for future opportunity. Together, those efforts support housing, infrastructure, business activity, and broader progress across the city. Progress in Port Angeles is not defined by one mega project or one glossy announcement. It takes shape through laser-focused daily service, project movement, business support, visible reinvestment, construction activity, responsive permit review, and work to align planning, infrastructure, and development standards. We can also see this broader pattern in several local indicators, including median income growth over the last decade and new business activity over the past year. The point is not just that activity is happening. The point is whether more of that activity can connect back to the community and create durable local benefit. What matters is whether people can see the direction taking shape on the ground. And in many areas, that progress is visible. Economic development is often reduced to recruitment, marketing, or the hope that one major project solves everything. However, it takes that important work and so much more. It depends on whether businesses can get quick, consistent answers, whether projects can move predictably, whether housing and infrastructure can keep pace, and whether adopted policy carries into implementation. It also depends on whether the community can build from the strengths it already has. That means helping businesses, workers, institutions, contractors, and investors connect to the work already happening. Economic development is not one standalone activity. It is carried out through daily service, project coordination, business assistance, policy implementation, infrastructure readiness, and partner support. That is the practical side of building from existing strengths, using local assets, public tools, and partner support to strengthen the community foundation and prepare for future investment. Economic development is not delivered through city action alone. As you heard from Shannon, in Port Angeles, part of that work depends on a wider partner network that brings business development, procurement, workforce, education, tourism, housing, and industry expertise. That approach is not about stepping away from economic development responsibility. It is about strengthening local efforts with specialized expertise, broader reach, market knowledge, and outside perspective. Partners extend business retention, startup support, procurement guidance, workforce pathways, tourism coordination, housing support, technical assistance, and regional collaboration through the North Olympic Development Council in ways that complement direct city functions. Peninsula College is one part of that local economic infrastructure, especially through programs such as the Business Leadership Academy, business administration, applied management, nursing, and other workforce pathways help build the leadership, technical, healthcare, and business capacity employers need. This coordinated model gives the city more bang for the buck to advance business growth, housing progress, workforce readiness, and economic opportunity. It also helps stretch public dollars further by connecting local needs with organizations possessing the proven expertise already working in those areas. The business-facing side of the partner model becomes direct service through outreach, retention, advising, and procurement support. Through annual city-supported partnerships with the Chamber of Commerce, Clallam County Economic Development Council, and the North Olympic Peninsula Apex Accelerator, funded at $142,000, $20,000, and $10,000 respectively, Port Angeles businesses received assistance at multiple stages of growth. In 2025, the EDC partner delivered work included 60 business retention visits, 15 recruitment and site selector engagements, and support for 17 startup businesses, with 11 now generating revenue. On the procurement and advisory side, 46 businesses received personalized advising, 47 received UBI registration assistance, and more than 900 hours of one-on-one business counseling were provided by the Apex Accelerator. UBI registration assistance helps firms get properly registered and ready to operate or compete for opportunities. Port Angeles firms also secured about $10.6 million in federal contract awards. That procurement and advisory work helps local firms compete for contracts, service subcontractors, and participate in investment activity. This critical work matters because local economic development is not only about bringing in something new. It is also about helping existing businesses grow, helping new businesses establish themselves, and helping local firms compete for opportunities that bring outside dollars back into the community. The city greatly appreciates the partnership and work of the Chamber, EDC, and Apex Accelerator. Tourism is not the whole economy in Port Angeles, but it is a critical element. It is one of the city's primary engines for economic circulation through hospitality, retail, visitor services, events, and year-round activity. This year, the city has allocated more than $1.8 million in lodging tax funding to support year-round tourism and economic activity. That includes about $266,000 annually in destination marketing services from a small Port Angeles local business, along with visitor services and reimbursements tied to local organizations and events. More broadly, Olympic National Park attracted more than 3 million visitors in 2024, generating about $298 million in spending and supporting nearly 1,800 jobs. That activity also contributed about $68 million in direct labor income and about $25 million in local taxes. Tourism spending is most valuable when it supports businesses, workers, events, and services beyond peak season. For Port Angeles, tourism-related investment is most useful when it supports broader community outcomes. Economic progress is also shaped by how the city functions day to day. In 2025, community and economic development recorded 7,447 interactions across the permit counter, email, and phone. Staff responded to 98.8% of inquiries within 2 business days and averaged 28.5 customer engagements per business day. The city also issued a total of 529 building permits, of which 352 were over-the-counter permits, with 90.6% of those over-the-counter permits issued the same day. These are operational figures, but they matter. For applicants, contractors, homeowners, and businesses, economic development often starts with a practical question. Can I get an answer? Can I understand the next step? And can I move a project forward? To bring even more clarity and transparency, Community and Economic Development eagerly produces 5 standing monthly reports across permitting, housing progress, SB 5290 compliance, customer service, and over-the-counter permitting activity. And we hope other departments join in this level of disclosure. When processes are more transparent and more responsive, the development environment becomes more workable. Development review, permit transparency, and customer responsiveness are part of the city's economic infrastructure. They affect whether local investors, small businesses, homeowners, contractors, and applicants can move from interest to action. Those customer service and permitting figures connect to real-time activity on the ground. Administrative responsiveness is not the goal by itself. However, it directly helps projects move into construction, reinvestment, housing activity, and economic circulation. In 2025, total construction valuation reached just over $83 million, including $56 million in new construction. That work included more than $285,000 in affordable housing support and more than $185,000 in waived municipal fees across eligible projects. The city also issued permits for 53 dwelling units and 8 permit-ready plans in 2025. To date, 4 permit-ready planned homes have been built, with another 13 in the pipeline. Together, these figures show permitting responsiveness, housing tools, fee support, and reinvestment translating into project movement. This activity is also happening alongside larger grant-supported capital work. In 2025, the city secured $4.3 million in grant funding for 15 capital projects, while Public Works and Utilities Department managed more than $41 million across 30 active grants. The recent State of the City address also identified key infrastructure items tied to economic readiness, including the A Street Basin work, the SR 117 and US 101 freight connection design, and continued coordination around the Lower El Wal-Clallam Tribe sewer project. We greatly appreciate the ongoing partnerships with the Port and the tribe. Those investments stretch local dollars and support the infrastructure conditions needed for growth. Progress also depends on the policy and infrastructure foundation behind the work. The Vision 2045 Comprehensive Plan was adopted on December 16, 2025, and now provides updated direction for land use, housing, and economic stability through 2045. That milestone also carried regional significance. Last December, Port Angeles was the only jurisdiction in Clallam County and one of 2 on the Olympic Peninsula to complete its comprehensive plan periodic update on time. The city has also moved early to be one of the few jurisdictions on the Olympic Peninsula to reduce permit review timelines consistent with the intent of SB 5290, while maintaining a clear path for large-scale residential development without adopting a moratorium, as we've seen in a neighboring city. The city is now carrying that foundation forward through phased code updates, zoning and development standards, industrial land planning, removal of residential parking minimums, tax increment financing feasibility work, and infrastructure planning tied to the A Street Basin wastewater project. Implementation also includes over-the-counter permitting expansion, critical areas work, urban forestry tools, and initial zoning and design standard changes. This policy work affects whether existing businesses can expand, housing can be delivered, and private investment has a clearer path forward. The city's progress also reflects coordination beyond City Hall. The comprehensive plan sets the long-range direction, but implementation requires coordination with partners, local organizations, and regional institutions. That includes work with the Port Angeles Waterfront District to manage, oversee, and implement and keep updated the Elevate PA 5-year strategic action plan aimed at authentic promotion, welcoming design, economic vitality, and a sustainable model. As part of that work, the Waterfront District aims to enroll Port Angeles as an official Main Street community. In 2025, the city administered over $53,000 from the Park and Business Improvement Area funds to directly support the Waterfront District with these efforts. In 2025, that work also included $28,000 in facade improvement support to local businesses. These are not isolated actions. They are part of a broader effort to advance reinvestment, reduce barriers, and strengthen local participation in community investment. Local economic circulation also matters. In 2025, the city directly spent $7.7 million with local vendors, supported by resolution number 15-12 in its local purchasing and service preference direction. The point is straightforward. When local firms can participate in city spending and future investment activity, more economic activity stays connected to Port Angeles. This work also connects to the next phase of implementation. Vision 2045 now includes policy ED 1.16, which provides a clear basis for future industry convening and improved partner coordination. That creates a starting point for bringing industry leaders, employers, partners, and public agencies together around infrastructure, workforce, procurement readiness, business needs, and economic priorities. At the same time, the city is considering tools, including Opportunity Zone 2.0 planning with the EDC and NODC that might strengthen readiness and improve competitiveness for future funding and investment opportunities. These partnerships matter because the work is too interconnected for one office to carry alone, and they help turn shared priorities into work on the ground. Housing delivery remains a top city priority. Compared to the same point last year, several city housing tools show accelerated measurable progress. To date, in 2026, the city has issued 8 permit-ready plans, a 50% increase over the same point last year. The city also uses the Multifamily Tax Exemption Program, or MFTE, to support multifamily housing development. To date, in 2026, the city has issued 4 MFTEs, also a 50% increase over the same point last year. The city has also permitted 22 dwelling units to date in 2026, more than 100% increase over the same time last year. These figures do not suggest that housing needs have been solved, but they do show that city tools are beginning to translate into real housing outcomes for our residents. Housing delivery is part of the local economic foundation because workforce readiness depends on whether people can live here. If workers cannot live here, workforce development leaks out of the community. That is why the council's prioritization of multifamily housing pilot project, or Project 935, is so important. In fact, the city received proposals from 12 firms, and staff look forward to bringing council a recommendation to proceed at either the May 19 or June 2nd meeting. This is why housing progress, workforce readiness, and business growth are treated as connected, not separate lanes. Housing progress depends on sustained implementation, not one project or one policy change. Taken together, the progress outlined tonight is more than a series of separate projects or metrics. It reflects coordination across city teams and external partners. It reflects open communication that helps people navigate process and understand where work is headed. And it reflects laser-focused follow-through that carries planning into action. Service, policy, capital planning, project support, economic circulation, housing tools, and business assistance are not separate lanes. They are part of the same economic development framework. They help Port Angeles build from existing strengths, prepare for future investment, and keep local benefit at the center of the work. Progress becomes easier to recognize when service, policy, coordination, and project movement work together. This city's goal is simple: to help create a community where businesses can grow, jobs can expand, housing can move forward, and investment can fit Port Angeles and serve the community over time. The goal is not simply to bring outside investment to Port Angeles, which is always appreciated. It is to make Port Angeles more capable of growing its own firms, workforce, revenues, infrastructure base, and community strength. Outside investment is critical, but it works best when it builds on local strengths. That is the growth from within framework. Strengthen what is already here. Use public tools responsibly. Support local participation where feasible, and prepare systems for long-term investment. As that work continues, the city's responsibility is to not only keep moving priorities forward, but to keep showing where progress is happening, where work remains, and how partners are contributing. This same emphasis on visibility and accountability will continue through future economic development updates and opportunities for partner organizations to share work underway across Port Angeles. Port Angeles still has important work ahead, but the past year provides a strong foundation for the next phase. Again, a huge thank you to City Council for your leadership on these issues, and to our partner organizations that are critical in these efforts, and to the entrepreneurs in Port Angeles that are key to the rich fabric of our community. Happy Small Business Week, and thank you for the opportunity to provide this update.
Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere because we might have questions. I mean, everyone can answer. Calvin, you want to answer? Oh, before we do that, Colleen, you're here. Would you be interested in speaking a little bit? All right. This is Colleen McAleer, the director of the EDC. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for asking me to say a few things. I appreciate it. Mayor Dexter and council members, thank you. So first of all, I want to say I really appreciate the partnership with your staff. They have been exceptional. At the EDC, we have 6 employees, and our full-time focus is economic development, solely that, not permitting or anything else, of Clallam County. And we are located right in downtown Port Angeles. And we focus on high wage jobs. We're not trying to create more jobs that are below the average wage, but high wage, so that we can improve everyone's quality of life. There's 5 different things I wanted to talk to you about, so I'll say them quickly. Clallam Economic Alliance, it used to be NOLA, North Olympic Legislative Alliance, but Jefferson County government chose to go out on their own, get their own lobbyists. So the importance of CEA, Clallam Economic Alliance, is that we go to our legislators with an agreed 3-item agenda. And one of those 3 items this last year, at the 2026 legislative session, was the $3.3 million ask for the wastewater treatment facility that supports the Western UGA. I think they have said over and over again, if just the city of Port Angeles came to ask for that, we wouldn't have supported it. But we came in with the Economic Alliance that includes the EDC, the chambers, the port, the PUD, and Clallam County government. And that was one of our top 3 projects. And I'm happy to say all 3 of our asks were approved. So next is Market Rate Housing Solutions. I am the chair of the Market Rate County Solutions Housing Committee, and we work on not subsidized housing solutions, but market rate solutions. I want to say thank you for all the policies that you have passed, lowering fees for multifamily, et cetera. And what I wanted to highlight is the Balmer Group has a grant that they're offering that will only go to for-profit businesses that build market rate solutions, subsidized solutions, but not using any government money. So they will provide up to $150,000 per unit to a for-profit builder to lower that price point, because right now, to build using prevailing wage and public works contracts, it's now up to $500,000 a unit. And how do you make that work for a family that can only afford $800 a month? It does not pencil, period. So it has to be totally subsidized for the life of the building. But this is, I think, a pretty unique, exciting solution where this foundation is offering up to $150,000 per door for multifamily. So we're going to be helping local businesses, local builders try to access that money. Another is the McKinley site. I don't want to see that turn into another Ryanair that ends up being vacant and underutilized for 30 years into the future. We work on that site and opportunities there every day. And I really hope by the end of the year, we'll have some good news to share. Working with a business that is Washington State owned, that is innovative and is very environmentally sustainable. Another is the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration has approved a modification to our Clallam Forest Products Innovation Program, where we will be doing a feasibility study to determine whether or not an off-site built manufacturing facility could be built in Port Angeles. It would most likely be in the Western UGA, but we're moving forward with that and identifying sites and what that structure would look like, and then looking for investors. Then also the last one is Emerald Coast Opportunity Zone, OZ 2.0, as Angel mentioned. I'm really excited about that as well because I think we've got a really good shot. I'm gathering 21 letters before the end of the month. We will be coming back to you and asking for a letter of support. Of those, the last time around, we were the winners of the state. There were 140 opportunity zones identified. Clallam County got 10 of those. So we got 10% in ECOS, we received 10% of those opportunity zones. Everett didn't get any. And so little old Clallam County and Jefferson County ended up getting 14 in total, 10 in Clallam, 4 there. That represented based on our per capita, we received 10% of all applications. This time around, I'm told by Commerce and all of our competitors and all the other 38 counties, don't expect that to happen again. We are going to be competing for those. So if we only received 1%, which is what we represent in population, we'd get 1 because they're reducing it from 140 down to 98. That being said, we are going to submit the most bang up, absolute best applications we can possibly get. We are going to be applying for 3 in Clallam County. One is the census tract that goes from Clallam Bay all the way around Forks. Doesn't include Forks. Unbelievably, the American Community Survey says that their income went from 54,000 last year to 86,000 this year. I think a mistake was made, but we can't challenge that. So Forks is not eligible, but all the census tract on the west end, not including Nia Bay, is eligible. And the other 2 are in Port Angeles. So the area from the airport through the McKinley site, and then also the downtown area that includes the area from Lincoln going west to about Valley is included. So we're really looking, we have 6 different investors that have identified sites and identified projects where they will be talking about the exact amount of investment that they'll make. And with that, that's going to be tens of millions of dollars in Port Angeles. So I thank you for the $30,000 annual investment. Our total budget's over $2.55 million. And so it represents just over 1% of our total investment. I think you're getting a really good bang for your buck. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. All right. Are there questions from council for staff related to their presentation? Drew, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had 3 hopefully short questions, and whomever on staff can answer them. For the 47 UBI registrations, does that involve also getting set up to be able to submit government bids on contracts, or was that just UBIs in general?
Answer is yes. That's what Apex Accelerator does. We get them prepared for state, local, or federal contracts.
Okay, so that
Can you repeat her answer so the people online can hear?
So the answer that Clallam EDC just gave me was yes, that 47 UBI registration number that we were given also includes helping those companies be set up to bid for government issued contracts. So we as a city can go and look for we put out submissions for bids, and you have to be registered to be able to go through that website. So that also helps doing that. The next question I had, the 90.6% same day permitting. Offhand, do we know how that compares to last year? I know recently we've started pushing real hard on same day permitting, but I don't remember how recent was.
Thank you, Councilmember. It's fairly consistent. As was mentioned earlier, in CED, we are happy to provide 5 monthly reports to council in a very transparent manner. And you will see in your packet for May 19th, the most recent update, and it will show that we are trending a little more positive than we were last year. So directions in the right motion.
Awesome. And then the last question I had, because my questions are from all over the place from the presentation, for the facade/sign grant, because the last I checked, facade grant and sign grant are 2 technically different grants, but are kind of rolled together. Do we still have funding for that? I forget how those are funded.
For the sign grant?
I'm rolling them in together in case the funding source is the same. So
we do have existing funds available for grants. And if anyone is thinking about doing a facade grant or any kind of improvement, please reach out to the CE department. As well as if you're thinking about building or expanding here in the city, we are open for business. We appreciate your interest. We want to be helpful with your interest. But yes, contact the CED department on the facade program, the grant programs, as well as our various fee waiver programs, et cetera.
Okay, and then just a random comment, because it's a random factoid. The approval of the facade grants and sign grants is the one authority the Planning Commission actually has. It's not a recommendation to City Council. They just get to do it. I was on Planning Commission for several years.
Excellent. All right. Are there any other questions from Latricia? Go ahead.
I have a question, and maybe Colleen, you might be able to answer it. I was just curious. I know that we did the Emerald Coast Opportunity Zone. Can you remind us the first round, the 1.0, what businesses actually did invest in our community during that time? That and because we're going to do it again. So I'd like to hear what we did last time and how we're moving forward.
So I know of 5 businesses that invested, but they're not required to report it. So I just happen to know about it. Citizen Air is an example. His development also is another example. The Wharf, Eric Marks invested his money at the Wharf. But 2.0 is much, much better for rural communities. The reason being, if an investor invests in an urban area, non-rural area, they only get to basically lower their capital gains tax by 10%. But if they invest in a rural area, which all 3 of ours would be considered that, they get to lower their capital gains taxes by 30%. Additionally, if they own a property, if they're in an urban area, they have to double their investment. So if the property was worth $1 million, they have to spend another $1 million. However, if they are in a rural area, they only have to spend 50% of what the value of their property is. So we anticipate if there are investors that are looking at this program, they are going to focus on rural areas. And we've got our Emerald Coast Opportunity Zone website, which is emeraldfunds.org. And right now we're talking about 2.0. Hopefully all 3 of our applications will get approved. Again, Jefferson County is applying for 2, so a total of 5. And we were in the New York Times previously, Wall Street Journal. We're going to continue this effort to get more attention and get more investment here in our county.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Amy, go ahead.
Excuse me, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to thank Angel and Shannon for the presentation. I'm sure you guys get these questions a lot too. Oh, and I guess Calvin also for the presentation. But I know that I've been asked in different ways and different venues about how the city supports economic development. And so I really appreciate this. I also do skim those reports. But this was really helpful, and I appreciate you being here for questions. And it's pretty evident that you have some passion for the topic, and we're lucky to have you guys here. Thanks.
Mark?
piggybacking on the what does the city do for economic development question, which I get asked a lot. My view is that government shouldn't stand in the way of economic development. It should pave the way. And traditionally, when we think of those things, we think of them in terms of infrastructure, permitting, basic services. This question, I think, is for Colleen. What view do you have of the city's role in supporting economic development?
Guess we should have just asked you, have a seat in the front row. No, you're okay. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the question. And economic development, in my view, is all about relationships. And if you're not out there talking to business, meeting with businesses, creating those relationships, then that trust isn't necessary and the knowledge base isn't necessarily built. I think the role that the city plays right now with the policies that are making it easier to build homes and to build dwelling units, and the focus on infrastructure is absolutely right on. The thing that I would really like to emphasize, which is predictability for timelines for developments and for huge projects. If something happens at McKinley, if we are going to be lucky and get an investor in there to invest hundreds of millions of dollars, what they will need from the city of Port Angeles to be successful and to move forward is a predictable timeline so that they can do the things that they want to do. And I just can't stress how darn important that is. So that really comes down to your staff and being organized. And I know you're really making strides in that area. So I appreciate that.
A question for staff. What does the city do to actively bring family wage jobs to the community? If anything, and if nothing, is it appropriate to do so or not?
Thank you, Councilmember. Absolutely. The city plays a key role. And I think as Angel and Shannon, I think wisely stated, it's not one thing or the other. It's a multiple, all of the above approach. It's making sure that you have the right permitting system. It's making sure that you have transparent and timely answers. It's about making sure that the infrastructure is in place. It's about making sure that you have incentives around new home development. So all of those things, the tourism economy that you heard from Angel and Shannon tonight, I think it's the all of the above approach that that council with their leadership has asked us to implement and that we are, and all of that supports family wage growth. Obviously, additional investments by council are always appreciated. Additional direction from council is always appreciated. But I hope what the public and council is seeing here tonight is that your team is working very hard, very efficiently to make sure that we have the best environment possible for that family wage job growth by using the all of the above approach.
Well, I thank you for that, Calvin. And the team is working hard and staff is working hard. I really do appreciate that. My concern is that just like when I went to high school in the 90s and my hair was black and not silver as it is now, you cannot graduate school in this area and find a living wage job. You've got to move out of the area. And I love what we're doing, especially in permitting. I think we're not doing too bad on infrastructure, but we've really got to do something to lay the foundation to court some of these living wage jobs so that they don't just look at us and say, you don't meet our electrical capacity, you don't meet our transportation capacity, or you just don't have the housing, which, is oftentimes the genesis for a lot of these things. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you to the staff for your hard work.
Latricia?
Just curious. We've been talking about capacity, and since I've been on tribal council, not tribal council, on city council, and my work on my mind, how we've grown with capacity. And that's one thing that has allowed city staff to be able to meet this need and have such a great economic development report. I'm just kind of curious, prior to our capacity building that we've done internally, you list here that there was 352 over-the-counter permits, which I'm really glad that we have. Traditionally, prior to capacity building, what was the timeline to have those permits move through our city system prior to capacity building and having strengthening our CED department.
Thank you, Councilmember. And then this is where I think council deserves a lot of credit for leading both on the increased staffing capacity and the insistence to expand, especially you, Councilmember Suggs, our over-the-counter permitting, actually creating the over-the-counter permitting or the type 0 permitting, which didn't exist 18 months ago or 24 months ago. So thanks to council. And I think what you've seen is when 350 odd permits out of 500 or so are over the counter, and of those 90% were done on the same day. That says a lot. And council will recall that as part of an update to the master fee schedule that you approved in December, you said, we want more of that. And so Public Works and the fire department are looking forward to joining the over-the-counter permitting program. I see their heads nodding. So we're really excited. We've already been to the Planning Commission with that proposal and are looking forward to bringing that to council here in the next month or two to add additional permits to the over-the-counter permitting program. So only having been here a few years myself, I can't speak to what it was like before then, but my sense from what I hear from our partners who we do regularly meet with, we have a monthly builders roundtable and other outreach opportunities, meet regularly with Colleen and other important partners in the community, that we have a ways to go, but we are making steady progress. And the expectation by council that we expand our over-the-counter permit programming, that we have more transparency in our permits, that we have those monthly reports are helping that transparency, which holds us all accountable.
One more quick question. So we have a builders roundtable. Is there any, would it be helpful to have do we have an industrial roundtable too that we utilize?
Almost reading the script perfectly. Thank you, Councilmember Suggs. So one of the items that you might recall that was added by council to the comprehensive plan was the requirement to do an annual industrial partners summit. And so we're going to be working, Angel is taking the lead on that. We'll be working with Colleen and our other organizations, the Port and others, to have that first ever industrial customer summit where we can hear directly from the industrial users about what we're doing right, what we could be doing more of, what opportunities there are for infrastructure enhancement. So yes, that was a policy that you all add to the comp plan, and we're looking forward to having that initial industrial summit in cooperation with the EDC and others sometime this fall.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
John, go ahead.
Well, I also appreciate the presentation and the comments. I just want to echo a few. Councilmember Hausen's comment about young people not being able to live and work here. I have experience with that. So I really believe that that's a big thing. We want to invest in our young people and want them to bring back their talents from school and come back to Port Angeles. So I think it's important to have those jobs that they demand, that they're going to go get in colleges and universities to bring back to Port Angeles to help sustain our economy so we can diversify in many different ways. And as a high school teacher, I see what they're interested in, what they go in. And so those would be interesting conversations to have. The one thing I've heard when I talk with community businesses and individuals is the biggest thing that they struggle with is workforce housing. That's the biggest issue that they have that I've heard over and over again. And I just think there's some exciting opportunities to bring those affordability to housing to our community. I know CRTC is doing some exciting things. I met with them last week, and I think that there are some exciting things in housing that could really be a boon for this community and region in terms of economically helping us out, also providing some stability to our housing market here and some affordability to multifamily homes to our young people looking for a place to work and live in the community. So I think that's a humongous thing, the housing. So I think just keeping our minds open, making the process to get permits and building easier is super important. I think we're pushing the needle in the right direction. I know there's a lot of way to go. So I appreciate that. And I personally look forward to I want to attend this industrial summit because I think that's a huge thing that we don't hear a lot about, and I would like to hear more directly from those people. So, but I just want to echo some of those comments made by my fellow council members, and thank you, Colleen and Angel, for your presentations. Like Amy, I feel more enlightened, and I'm glad for the update. I look forward to our report next month on what's going on. So thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Well, I will just join the chorus of saying thank you for the update, for the presentation. Thanks for being here, Colleen, and for the work that you and your team are doing. Oh, Amy, you have a question?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I try to ask this when we are lucky enough to have like the real staff in the room. Is there anything that your team needs from us? You're cheating.
I think Councilmember, as Shannon comes to the lectern, I think consistency and clear expectations helps us. That we'll get there, but just sometimes we need a little time to. It's a big ship at times to turn, and so the consistency and the understanding the patience from council as we make those important changes, like the expansion of the Type 0 program, it takes us a little time to get there, but we will earnestly try very hard to make it happen as quick as possible.
I just want to echo everything that Deputy City Manager Going said. We really appreciate the ideas, especially, I don't think we would have had our over-the-counter program in our 5290 update if it wasn't for that suggestion. That was a great suggestion. It's been immensely successful, in my opinion. And I look forward to expanding it. Not only is the fire department and public works adding to it, but CD is adding more permits to it too, which we hope really helps. So we look forward to bringing that to you and just consistent leadership like you've been providing us and direction.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you all for your presentation. Thank you for being here, Colleen, and for the work you're doing. Look forward to hearing more about how we can support the Opportunity Zone 2.0 efforts. And I'm sure you'll be the sample application on the website for future projects. That will be, so it sounds like last one definitely was. So thank you all, and we'll try to be consistent so that you have predictability. And with that, I think we'll take a 5-minute break and come back and talk about the Criminal Justice Training Commission grant. All right, thank you all for your patience. We are going to go ahead and pick up on our agenda, item I2, and I'm going to turn that over to the police chief.
So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. And so we've got a pretty solid memo in the packet. Hopefully it addresses any questions you might have. And last Tuesday, we had a great opportunity to talk about this in depth. So I'm glad to visit with any of the components of this if you wish. And I think maybe I could just start with taking any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there questions from council or comments or a motion? We're going to go any direction. Amy.
I'd like to move that we accept the grant from Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission for the salaries and benefits of 4 additional police officers in the amount not to exceed $785,680, and to additionally authorize the city manager to sign the contract between WSCJTC and the city of Port Angeles, and to make any minor modifications if necessary. And 3, to authorize the addition of 4 new entry-level police officers in the the city's 2026 budget.
I'll second.
All right. Do you want to speak to your motion?
I mean, I would love to. I feel like you can get my thoughts and comments if you watched the previous meeting at our work session. I think this is a really important step. I also want to acknowledge that, everybody's experience of law enforcement and what folks, how public safety is defined, I think can be different for folks. And I think we are very lucky in our community to have a pretty clear definition of what public safety looks like, and all of our partners in that. And so, again, as somebody who has had some experience years ago with our officers, I feel like this is a long time coming. And I am glad to support it, and really appreciate the police department taking initiative on getting us ready to be able to accept this grant.
Thank you, Amy. Drew, and then Latricia.
I just wanted to, so I do fully support this and have fully supported this for way longer than us getting a grant for it. But I just wanted to put my point of view on the idea of over-policing. Over-policing is a thing. You do reach a point of diminishing returns, whether you define that from a financial standpoint of every dollar going to specifically police officers produces less public safety than a dollar going to some other program, or from an actual human cost standpoint of diminishing returns. When in some communities, you see police who are bored and are making problems for others. But the point of diminishing returns is at the point where you have too many police. We don't. I'll just be blunt. On average, we have 3 or 4 officers in a car at a time on a good day. And officers respond to a call for safety. So 2 911 calls that are actually, well, they're all important. If you call 911, it's important to you. But for ones that anyone would recognize as a serious issue, someone is bleeding out, someone is hurt, something has happened. 2 things happen in Port Angeles. We have no more police. That's it. That's all we have. And these extra 4 officers, as was explained to us at our work session, will make it so it's easier for our officers to be able to go out and actually go to more 911 calls. This does not get us to the point where we have so many officers, we're going to start having speed entrapment places in town. We're nowhere close to that number of officers. And I think we need like 4 more officers to get to that point, in top of this 4 officers already. So I do recognize the concern of over-policing, and I recognize how that is a concern in some communities. That can be a problem. But if we don't have enough officers to respond to 3 911 calls at a time, then I'm not too worried about over policing at this point.
And we'll go to Latricia.
Yeah, thanks for those comments about over policing. I do agree with Drew that I don't think our community is at that point. But this also is presented to us last Tuesday is, to me, is also about quality of life for police officers. There's a lot of times, I mean, we heard last Tuesday where police officers, they're missing family birthdays or even a planned family birthday that they had planned for months, and they get a call. It's mandatory. You have to come in. Doesn't matter. Well, I just got off a shift. It doesn't matter. You have to come in. So I think this is also about quality of life for our police officers. It doesn't make it perfect for them, but it's going to improve and hopefully provide some of our police officers with those moments with families. Because, you know, our police officers, their ability to connect with their families, provide for their families is also important. And that's that quality of life that we discussed at Tuesday's work session. But I do support this. It's about capacity. Just as we built our city staff capacity, we also need to appropriately build our police officer capacity too. You know, I think at our work session currently, our officers aren't even keeping their head above the water right now. And we need to be able to increase that capacity for them. And I have faith in our Chief Smith. He's provided a fabulous the training that police officers here have to go through. He sets the bar high with expectations, and they've also approached it to slow down and team up when responding to calls, so it's safe for them and also safe for the people that the call that they're going to slow down, de-escalate. We've heard that a lot, and so I have faith in our police chief in being able to bring 4 additional officers on board and training them to the high level and standards that we expect in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to John and then Mark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will also be wholeheartedly accepting and voting for this. I think burnout's real, and we definitely need more officers in our department. And I think asking them to do more with less resources is insane. And so I think this is an opportunity we can't pass up. I see public safety and the ability, what the heck? It's like a spider web. Jeez, that was weird. I see public safety intertwined with economic development, with tourism, with housing and investment. Like, it's part of a pillar of stuff that helps the others. And I feel like it's been made clear to us as council members that we need some more help, and our police department needs more capacity. And so I feel like this grant doesn't come around very often, and anytime we can use it to help boost our capacity in public safety and support our police department and helping do their jobs more efficiently and giving our police officers more time with their families instead of mandatory overtime, I think it's a win-win-win-win-win. So I appreciate all the hard work you guys put into this. If I didn't say this at the last meeting, and even writing this grant, that took hours to do. And so your dedication to seeing this community be better is admirable, and I wanted to thank you for that. So I will again be voting earnestly for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We'll go to Mark.
Thank you. A couple questions for the chief, just for to address some of the public concerns. When an officer responds to a call and the subject is combative, is it more safe or less safe to have more than just one officer respond?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. And of course, it's far less safe for everybody to under-resource, that kind of situation. We work to avoid a single officer response to any call like that, but they still happen. There's quite a bit of academic research on this subject, and I was fortunate enough 25 years ago at Montana State University, I got to pick what my professional paper was going to be. So I studied this subject. 3 to 4 officer responses on an unknown, difficult situation are much better because you can, you sort of eliminate the whole psychological component of resisting us. You see it every day here. You'll see 4 cars at a call. Like you heard from Corporal Cooper, the entire shift will be at 1 call and it ends safely for everyone. And so we're big proponents of that. And this grant gets us a little farther towards that.
Does that kind of response make it safer for the officer or the individual that's being taken into custody?
Well, everybody. So again, you're kind of like picking a nerd subject for me. The FBI has this great research paper called the Offenders Perceptual Shorthand by 3 PhDs that I get to meet 2 of them at the FBI Academy. And they've studied this by interviewing people in prison. Why'd you do this? Why'd you not do this? So the numbers of officers and how they carried themselves and how they communicated and how they approached all goes into that perceptual shorthand. A single officer in a really dangerous, unpredictable situation, unsafe for everybody for all kinds of reasons, including the officer winds up having to use force when, the person made a bad choice. Now the officer has to use force, right?
So sometimes with the additional officers that respond, it's actually safer for the officer, safer for the individual being taken into custody, but an outsider's perspective without knowledge of what's happening may see it as too many officers responding to 1 call.
So we've been practicing this for like the whole time I've been here, and we get a lot of complaints about things. And when I was a supervisor in Yosemite in the 90s, we actually got complaints about too many people being at a call, but I've never gotten feedback about that, like negative, like someone calling saying, Chief, why was there 4 cars there? Why was there 5 cars there? It has not happened, and I don't know if that's because people assume we're doing the right thing, but it's intentional on our part to put appropriate number of resources there. So, we can address your question in a way that it's safer for everyone. And you can't measure the thing that doesn't happen, but a lot of things don't happen because you appropriately resource calls.
Some members of the community are concerned that with more police, that our vulnerable immigrant community may be targeted. As a requirement of this grant, what immigration warnings, if any, are required to be read?
So there was substantial sort of policy proofs on immigration that we had to establish through the grant application. And I learned from you that the state also has the same warnings, and it's a immigration and a consular warning that everybody we arrest gets the same information. And the warnings are kind of new to us because most of the people, when they hear them, don't think that it applies to them. So we're trying to work out how to give them the warnings and explain it to them. But it's a requirement that everybody that we arrest get that information from us.
I heard a really good story about a law enforcement response to an individual having a mental health episode, and that officer was able to take the time to connect individually and one-on-one with that person and help them achieve a positive outcome. Sometimes that's not possible if you have to go from call to call to call, that you're not able to establish those relationships and get help for people that need that. So I am happy for a variety of reasons to support this motion and happy to support our law enforcement officers and a safe community.
Thank you, Mark. I guess that leaves me. Oh, Amy, go ahead.
I just wanted to state a little reminder for folks too, that the reason that we qualify for this grant is because we do have a co-response piece of our law enforcement, that we have been prioritized because we have co-response, and that it is to continue to enhance our co-response locally.
Thank you for that reminder. I don't think I need to restate what's already been stated by other council members. I agree with the comments that have been made. And I do think it is worth, as Amy mentioned, one component of what qualifies us for this grant is the really successful upstream work we've been doing with co-response. And I think we have some by state law, some by this grant, some by choice, really robust training for our officers that makes them pretty uniquely qualified to handle a lot of things. And so for reasons that I think team up and slow down is the right approach, and having 4 additional officers allows us to do that more regularly and without calling people in, which is my other side of the same coin for supporting this motion, is making sure that our officers have the time off that they need, that they have the quality time with their families. I think that makes everybody safer too, and it makes their health better. And we need to be good employees as well. So I will be supporting this. And again, I feel like I want to restate what everyone already said, but you already heard it. So I'm just going to say I appreciate other council comments. And so with that, are there any other comments or questions about this? Before we vote, I will also mention, as a reminder, in case we want to talk about it tonight, that one of the other issues that happens in the state of Washington is when everyone says there's a need. Currently, the general response from our legislature is, well, you could add a sales tax for that. And so being mindful of our community's ability to pay, I do think it's important to note that one of the things that comes with this grant is also the ability to levy an additional 0.1% sales tax. Levy is probably not the right word, but to adopt councilmanically a 0.1% sales tax. And so I'm just going to throw that out there before we vote on this motion in case we want to take a couple minutes to talk about that opportunity this evening. So because we don't have any further discussion, we have a motion to accept the grant from Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission for the salaries and benefits of 4 additional police officers in an amount not to exceed $785,680, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract between WSJTC and the city of Port Angeles and to make minor modifications if necessary, and authorize the addition of 4 new entry-level police officers in the city's 2026 budget. Let's vote for real instead of unanimous consent because it's more fun. Real. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. No clapping.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Mark, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to bring forward all necessary resolutions, documents, and set a public hearing for a councilmatic 0.1% sales tax in accordance with HB 2015.
Second.
All right, do you want to speak to your motion?
I think in the presentation that we were given previously, the grant and the opportunity to be able to invest in our law enforcement officers, they were meant to be together. And I think that for us to make the most out of this grant and make the most out of our law enforcement resources, we need to bring this before the council, have a discussion and vote on it.
Drew?
Yeah, I just want to echo that. I recognize that no one likes the sales tax going up, but there's at least two elements at play here. The first one is the fact that we hear this frequently of, hey, we just got a grant to pay for a new insert staff, insert facility, insert something that has a reoccurring cost after the grant goes away. So how do you pay for that? Well, this time the legislation actually made it so there is a mechanism for us to pay for this after we accept the grant. So the grant's basically going to do a 75% upfront payment for us, and we have the ability to do a 0.1% sales tax. And of the basically 1.5 ways the city has to raise money. The only other option for the most part, and I'm condensing a lot of more complicated stuff, is property tax. Well, property tax goes to all of us who live here. Sales tax goes to all of us who buy here, as well as everyone who visits us. And so the out-of-towners, the tourists, the people who are in this area temporarily are helping to subsidize our police force. What that means is, and I'm pulling these numbers out of thin air based on memory, so our finance department can glare at me and correct me in a moment. But roughly speaking, a 0.1% of 1% sales tax is about a 20% cost for a household for the course of a year. To raise the equivalent using a property tax, you're looking at about a $50 a year increase for the same household. Please tell me I'm remembering that pretty darn close.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. It's about a $21 increase per year, and that does factor in the visitor increase for that sales tax, as well as, it's based on the median household income. And so that's kind of like an average, similar to what we do for the property tax levy, but it is about $21 a year.
Okay, I said 20, so that was pretty close of me remembering things. So of the options so basically in 2 years, we lose the 2 officers that we finally have on the street because it takes, 4 officers that we finally have on the street because it takes a little while. Or we cut something else, or we raise taxes somewhere. And sales tax at least makes it so it's the lowest impact, it's the lowest impact to everyone living here because we're having others who are visiting us help subsidize it. And to me, that is the best option as far as how do we continue to pay for these officers. So I am in favor of and of course we do anyway, so saying I'm in favor of it implies that we wouldn't if I was in disagreement, but I'm in favor of having a public hearing to make sure we hear from the public. But as it stands, I'm fully in support of having staff find out the information of what it would take to do this and all the documentations, and supporting the motion that we currently have.
Thank you, Drew. Really quickly before I go to anyone else, can you email me your motion, please? Thank you. Are there other comments or questions from council? Okay. So just for clarity, when I read the motion, I think it will make it clear, but for folks following along, I know sometimes we move quickly and things aren't super clear. So I just want to be clear that this motion is not implementing a sales tax tonight. It is directing staff to begin the process to bring back information to us about doing that. So no decision on that piece tonight, just a vote on whether or not we do direct staff in that direction. And I'm going to wait just a moment because I need to read the motion before we say it. And so I've asked Councilmember Hodgson to email it to me. So I have it in front of me. All right. So we have a motion to direct staff to bring forward all necessary resolutions, documents, and set a public hearing for a councilmatic 1/10 of 1% sales tax in accordance with House Bill 2015. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. I need to go back. Sorry, I just have to remember how to get my WebEx back to the full screen. Sorry. All right. Thank you all. Okay, that brings us to item I3, which is a presentation from Chief Sharp on the increased fire department capacity. Increasing capacity left and right. While you're walking up, I don't know if the data is still the same, but at one point in the last couple of years, the City of Port Angeles Fire Department was the 40th busiest single station fire department in the United States. So for a town of 20,000 people, I suppose the larger towns have more than one station, but the call volume for both of our both police and fire is pretty astounding. So this is good news for us. I don't want to steal your thunder, Chief, but go ahead.
That's quite okay. Well, good evening, Mayor Dexter and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to share with you a little bit about the research that we've done and the recommendation that we have before you tonight. So tonight, what I'd like to do is walk you through the data informed approach we use to evaluate ambulance capacity within the city. We will review the results of that analysis and recommend expanding a deployment model that has already been tested and proved itself to be valid. Next slide, please. Thank you, Carrie. So Council, what this slide reveals in practical terms is that in 2025, there were 192 hours when no Port Angeles Fire Department ambulance was available to respond to immediately to a 911 response. These hours represent 669 separate incidents where Port Angeles Fire Department did not have an available ambulance for the next 911 call for service. Those are periods where demand exceeded the number of available resources. Next slide, please. Through this analysis, we found that demand is not evenly distributed throughout the day. So over 76% of our calls for service are EMS related, and the majority of those calls occur between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. During those peak hours, demand frequently exceeds the number of available resources, which creates a gap in service. Next slide, please. Prior to implementing the first peak unit, we identified approximately 624 missed transports the previous year. And these are incidents where demand existed, but we had not enough ambulances available to respond to those calls for service, capture that transport, and take that individual or that patient to definitive care. And that represents both a gap in service, but it also represents a financial gap. At the same time, call volume has been increasing at approximately 5% annually, which means that this gap is not static. It continues to grow year after year. Next slide, please. Based on that analysis, with Council's approval, we implemented a targeted solution. In July, of 2025, we placed a peak hour ambulance unit into service, specifically designed to align staffing with peak demand. And this was not an increase in baseline staffing. It was a focused deployment model intended to align resources with demand to improve system performance. Next slide, please. In the first 6 months of operation, the peak unit captured 224 transports, which exceeded the number required to pay for itself in a sense. For context, transports have increased they've nearly doubled since 2022. In 2022, we had 1,033 transports. At the end of 2025, we had 1,907 transports. At the same time, we saw reductions in overtime. 2025 from 2024, a reduction of 753 hours. Not all of that was a result of the day car, because the day car was only active for 6 months. We've seen fewer mandatory staffing events. The day car specifically reduced or covered 23 days where we didn't have to call someone in from their scheduled child's birthday, celebration, or vacation. And we've seen improved workforce stability. Now, a little bit of research from 2020 to 2020, the first quarter of 2025, there were 25 individuals that came into the department and moved on from the department to a slower agency. Since first quarter of 2025, we've had no one separate from the department. In a conversation with our union president, he openly shared that morale, he's been with the department for 20 plus years. He's never seen morale higher than it currently is. It's important to note that this unit only operated for a portion of the week and half of the year. As a result, it did not cover all peak demand periods and therefore could not capture the full 624 missed calls that were identified in the original analysis. Next slide, please. When we compare system performance between days where 2 ambulances are staffed and days where 3 ambulances are staffed, the difference is significant. Level 0 events, Those are the periods when all staffed resources are assigned to a call for service and no other ambulance is immediately available to respond to the next 911 call for service. So level 0 events dropped from 669 to 124 when a third ambulance was staffed between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. So currently our day car works 4 days, Tuesday through Friday, from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. Equally important, the total hours without available coverage dropped from 192 to 28. That represents an 81.5% reduction in times when no ambulance was available. Next slide, please. While the first peak unit has been effective in capturing previously missed transports, it does not provide full week coverage. There are still multiple days each week when we operate with only 2 ambulances during these peak demand hours. These are the same conditions that produce the gaps that we've been talking about. So we have a validated solution and a clearly defined gap where that solution is not yet being applied. Next slide, please. This second peak unit proposal completes the deployment model initiated by extending peak hour coverage across all 7 days of the week. It ensures that staffing consistently aligns with peak demand rather than only during a portion of peak demand throughout the week. Next slide, please. The estimated cost for the second peak unit is approximately $345,000. Based on the performance of the first peak unit, we conservatively estimate up to $400,000 in additional transport revenue by having a third ambulance available 7 days per week during peak demand times. In addition, there's existing transport demand within the city that is currently being served outside of the department through Olympic Ambulance and other agencies that when they have a unit available and we're unavailable, they will respond. And this represents how ambulance demand already exists. And when we don't have capacity, that demand is at times handled outside of our system. Even under conservative assumptions, the cost for this second peak unit is fully recoverable. Next slide, please. So this proposal improves ambulance availability during peak demand periods, reduces service gaps, supports workforce stability, and captures existing transport demands. We identified a measurable gap in ambulance availability. We implemented a targeted solution and validated it both operationally and financially. So, Council, what we are asking for today is for your approval to further enhance the peak unit deployment model so that we can continue to better align available resources with current demand across the full week. And I think the beauty of this program is that it is really user-funded. It doesn't have any impact or addition on property taxes or on sales tax. That those individuals that call 911 and require transport to definitive care, their insurance is billed for that transport. And the impact is not absorbed by the entire community. So with that, I am happy to take any questions that you may have.
All right. I'm going to jump in really quickly with a clarifying question, and then I'll come back around to sort of more detailed question if I have them. Just as a follow-up to the comment you just made, I just want to state my understanding and have you say, yes, I'm right. That while we bill insurance, individuals within the city of Port Angeles who are transported within the city of Port Angeles do not themselves receive a bill.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, you are right.
Thank you. You should ask better questions. Yeah, Amy, go ahead.
I just want to make sure I am reading this right, because it's not often these words are all together in a sentence. But part of the recommendation is authorizing a reduction in the transfer of money from the general fund to the Medic One utility. That was a reduction of money from the general fund. I just want to confirm that's...
Yes, that's correct. And You are correct, but I'm going to look towards Serena, our finance director, to give you the specifics about why we would be, the gist of the answer is that there's no impact to the general fund with this plan, except that because of the transport revenue, there's the ability to reduce the subsidy that goes from the general fund to the Medic One fund. And I'm going to turn it over to Serena.
Thank you, Chief Sharp. So as Chief Sharp mentioned, the idea behind this option was to ensure that the general fund had no impact. And so the way that we do that currently for all of our firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, is we split those positions, and they're currently 75% funded in Medic One, 30% funded in the general fund. And so we're requesting that we continue that as we move this forward. So those 2 additional staffing members would also be split 70 and 30%. And so to offset that, what we're recommending is the reduction of the transfer from the general fund into the Medic One for that subsidy. So that's been $265,500 for quite a number of years. And so in order to keep the general fund impact neutral, we're just reducing that transfer so that we can continue the shift coverage in the same way that we are currently working. If that makes sense. So we're essentially increasing general fund money for personnel costs for the 2 positions so that they can cover shifts where they can work fire calls and medic calls. And in order to keep that cost neutral, we're reducing the transfer. So the transfer is being reduced because of the increase in the personnel costs, if that makes sense.
Thanks. John says it makes sense, so.
I might just add that, yes, you are right.
All right, Latricia.
Well, I'm just going to make the motion to approve the addition of 2 full-time equivalent fire department positions to staff, a second peak ambulance unit, and associated costs beginning July 2026 in the amount of $345,740.70. Authorize reducing the transfer from general fund to the Medic One utility to $186,600, and 3, authorize the city manager to make minor modifications as necessary.
Second.
Do you want to speak to your motion?
I basically see this as it's a no-brainer. I mean, there's no cost. It's a need in our city, and I guess why didn't we do it sooner? But I understand why, because we tested it the first time to see what the impact would be, and we saw that there was a benefit there. So, no, it's a no-brainer. I mean, thank you.
Thank you, Latricia. Anyone else? Amy?
I'll just say that it's, I just had a brain fart. I just want to say thanks. I had a better way of saying it, but for thinking about how to make these kinds of impacts for your teams, because I do know, and I recall when I get an opportunity to sit down with them, I think it was probably when I was campaigning, but the teams being really swamped and overwhelmed, and the call volume was wild. And so it's really important, I think. I mean, we're just so lucky that our public safety departments, our fire department and our police department are so on top of things and willing to look for solutions outside the box. So I just wanted to say thank you for putting in all that work and being data driven and authorizing some reduction of monies to different accounts. I think that's great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Other council member. Go ahead.
Just to add one more thing too, I mean, we talked about economic development and what does the city do? I mean, this, again, if we want growth and industry to develop around here, this is one thing that we need to have is be able to respond to, you know, if those industries call that they had a workplace accident, being able to have our police and our fire department to be able to respond. So again, this is how the city participates as a partner in that economic development. It just, there's no direct line that says because we're expanding here, we're going to have more economic development in our community. It just provides a service that's going to be needed with growth. So thank you.
Thank you. When I last did my ride along, I've only done one, so I'm going to do another one soon. But when I did my ride along, I sat at the table because it was the curse of the ride along, and it was slow for a little while. So I asked the firefighters at the table, what do you need? And the two things that I heard were snacks at the hospital, and because sometimes they're running from call to call, and the hospital is the place they're going to and from, and 6 additional firefighters. And so, 4 is not bad. So I'm excited to support this. I think it is really smart, a smart and thoughtful response to the need. I appreciate that it's data-driven, and look forward to going and sharing that not only did I not have anything to do with getting them snacks, I really didn't have much to do with this either, but happy to vote for it. Anyone else? All right, so we have a motion to approve the addition of 2 full-time equivalent fire department positions to staff a second peak ambulance unit and associated costs beginning July 2026 in the amount of $345,740.70. Reducing the transfer from the general fund to the Medic One utility to $186,600, and authorize the city manager to make minor modifications as necessary. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
All right. Less exciting, but interesting and important, is we need to decide who is going to AWC. Nathan, do you want to kick that off real quick?
Mayor, this year, the AWC Summer Conference is scheduled, I believe, from June 23rd through June 25th. It is in Spokane, Washington. We've provided in your packet the agenda for that meeting. And tonight we are asking for council to select 3 members or no more than 3 members to attend the AWC Summer Conference in Spokane, as well as designate those same individuals as voting delegates in the voting meeting of Association of Washington Cities. Happy to answer any other questions.
All right. Real quickly before I go to Drew, Latricia first, then Drew. I just want to remind everyone that the agreement that we made as a group in January was that the 3 of us that went to the January conference would not be the primary targets for this conference. So if there is no one else who wants to go, we can throw our names in, but we need to defer to other council members first. And I realize that Councilmember Carr, Deputy Mayor Carr, is not here. So I probably should have asked her if she was available, but let's have the conversation and then we can reach out to her if we need to. And so I'm going to go to Latricia and then Drew.
I just want to help make it easy that unfortunately I have a conflict on those dates and not able to attend the AWC. So my name's out.
Okay, very good. Drew.
I just had a clarification question. I think Nathan said that this was Tuesday through Thursday, but there is a Friday thing listed until 10:30 a.m. So is there actually a little...
Council members, probably you are absolutely correct. I winged it rather than pulled up the memo.
Okay, valid. Okay.
As close as I could get relative to those dates.
Okay. Oh, well, I just didn't know if, because it's literally like a 2-hour session on Friday and then it says safe travel. So I was like, well, maybe that's actually a typo and okay, no problem.
Correct. Friday the 26th is also part of the conference.
If I'm doing scheduling, I need to make sure what day of the week that counts as.
I will also jump in quickly as a point of clarification on the schedule. It does in fact begin on the 23rd, but the only thing happening on the 23rd is our two events in the evening. That's first time attendee meet and greet and President's Welcome Reception. And as much as I would love for our attendees to be able to participate in that, I can't tell you that you must, but would strongly discourage you from heading to Spokane because that is currently the day that we have scheduled to have a joint meeting with the commissioners to hopefully jointly approve a digital services contract. So I will be here in person regardless of where everyone else is. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, I was looking at that as well. And obviously I don't want to miss that, but logistically, I think whoever tries to attend AWC should do that one remotely because our options then are either missing a good chunk of Wednesday or doing a 6.5 hour drive at 7 o'clock at night. So if you leave AM on the Tuesday, check into the hotel, we'd be able to remotely do the work session would be my recommendation.
And my recommendation would be that council misses the first part of the meeting because I think it's important to be there in person. But that's not my call. It's just my suggestion and it's my preference, I guess I should say. That said, we still haven't decided who's going. So we know Latricia's out. Mark.
I have a previous obligation that week.
Okay, Mark is also out. Drew.
I would like to attend.
Okay. To my left. Amy.
I'm ready to go.
Okay. All right. And John.
I was one of the three that went in January. So I would rather defer that to you or Navarra if you would rather go. I'm sure my wife would like me to stay home and not travel to Spokane without her. So I'll go if no one else wants to, but if you or Navarra would like to go, I think that would be more appropriate.
I did go in January as well. So so I am happy to not go. And you're new, and I think that's you're not new. You're newer than I am anyway. And so I think that's important as well. I've had quite a few opportunities to go. And I will just state that I will be there for MRSC. I'm on the MRSC board, and their one of two in-person meetings happens in conjunction with AWC. So I will be there, but I will not be participating in the conference. And we keep the conference attendees to 3 so that we are very clearly never in a position of potentially violating the Open Public Meetings Act by having a majority of council together. So I will be doing my own thing and only in the same building, I think, as the rest of council. Yes, go ahead.
So if Navarra can't go or doesn't want to, then I will go, but I want to give her the opportunity first.
Okay, so let's suggest a motion that we send Drew and Amy, and that we offer the 3rd spot to Navarra. And if she is not available, that it will be John.
So moved.
Thank you.
Also seconded.
Okay.
And to amend it, that they also have voting
Oh, yes.
privileges.
Second.
Thank you. I know we're supposed to vote on that, but we're just going to call it a part of the motion. Voting privileges are inherent in it's a delegation of privilege because you're going, or responsibility. All right, so we have a motion to appoint Drew, Amy, and either Navarra or John for the AWC conference in Spokane in June. Anyone opposed to the motion, please state your opposition. All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. And I think it was really nice of us not to have voluntold Navarra that, and I mean, you want to go, so it's a fun opportunity. So, but we'll check with her work schedule and see if she can go and then let you know. Okay. And last is a presentation on the Public Safety Advisory Board work plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chief Sharp and I are very excited to present a proposed work plan for our Public Safety Advisory Board. This effort, this work plan, comes directly from council direction to us. You gave us some homework, basically, to bring forward a structured and purposeful approach to the board. So now that we've done it, it's something that, like, I wish we thought of it a long time ago, but we didn't, but we have now. So I'm really excited about it. As you know, the board will be made up with all new people. So this is an opportunity to, kind of establish expectations and establish a very effective role for the board members going forward. The plan's a joint effort between police and fire departments. Our goal is to ensure that the board becomes, the new members and the board become a meaningful part of how we connect with the community on public safety issues. The intent of the work plan is to, of course, better align the board's activities with the purpose that's, really well described in the municipal code and the ordinance. And at its core, the board exists to provide public safety, to support public safety services by enhancing community understanding and providing input on broader issues, input to the chiefs, input to council, input to staff. What we're proposing tonight is a structured, framework that allows this to happen consistently rather than relying on sort of informal and ad hoc. If you've been to the meetings, that's what it has been. It's been more of an informal approach. The meetings historically consisted of updates from the chiefs, the departments, formal presentations, and then a informal discussion and, questions and things that, we would provide the board. So what I would say, having been here and worked with the board, for 18 years, is we haven't really utilized the value of the people that are sitting on the board, their potential in the way that we could. So the issues that we're dealing with now are, more complex, and, public perceptions of safety, homelessness, drug activity. It's really helpful to get really great input, feedback, and whatever people, are telling them, we would want to hear it. So a deliberate, focused approach, we think, will better serve both the board and the community. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Sharp to kind of walk through what this work plan, how it's structured.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Just to double check, we should be on slide 5. So again, good evening, Council, Mayor. What we're proposing with this work plan is a more structured and intentional approach to how the board engages with public safety topics. So each meeting will be organized around a clearly defined topic that reflects a real issue affecting service delivery within our community. And that structure allows us to focus the discussion and create a more productive dialogue. The goal is to move beyond general feedback and toward input that is informed, that is constructive, and directly relevant to the challenges that both departments are facing. Ultimately, this framework is designed to make better use of the board's time and provide community feedback that can inform how we operate and how we communicate. This work plan brings structure to the conversation while preserving the flexibility needed to address emerging public safety issues. Next slide, please. To support this framework, we've established a consistent and structured meeting format. Monthly meetings will target a 90-minute duration, and this allows sufficient time for a meaningful discussion while respecting the time of the board members and staff. Each meeting will follow a standard agenda format. Public comment and brief department updates will be included, but the majority of the meeting will be dedicated to a focused discussion on a defined public safety topic. This approach improves efficiency, it maintains consistency from month to month, and ensures that the board's time is used in a way that supports meaningful dialogue and actionable community feedback. Next slide, please. We've also taken the opportunity to clearly define the role of the board members within the work plan. So members are intended to serve as liaisons between the community and the public safety agency or agencies. And that includes bringing forward what they are hearing from residents, business owners, and stakeholders in a thoughtful and constructive manner to the public safety services. And they will also help us better understand how the public safety messaging is being received and where there may be gaps in understanding. In addition, board members play an important role in supporting public awareness of police and fire services by sharing accurate information and context with the community members. At the same time, this work plan reinforces clear boundaries. The board operates within established legal and policy limits with a focus on systems, on services, and on community impact, rather than specific incidents or personnel matters. This clarity helps ensure that the board remains focused on where it can provide the greatest value. Next slide, please. The first phase of the work plan focuses on orientation and member development. Oh, and in case we didn't mention it before, there's a handout for you to follow along. The first phase of the work plan focuses on orientation and member development. So before the board is asked to provide meaningful input, it's important that members have a clear understanding of how our public safety systems operate. And this includes training on governance, the Open Meetings Act, public records requirements, ensuring members understand both their role and their responsibilities. It also includes operational exposure through the K-CERT training, along with opportunities for them to conduct ride-alongs with police, fire, and dispatch. We think firsthand experience provides important context for them. And for these types of calls, challenges, and decisions our personnel manage on a daily basis, they will see that in action with the ride-alongs. The objective is to ensure that when the board engages in discussion, it is informed, it's grounded in operational realities, and ultimately more useful to both the department and the community. Next slide, please. Once the initial orientation phase is complete, the work plan transitions into a focused community discussion format. At that point, board members have the context necessary to engage in meaningful dialogue. Each meeting is centered on a focused public safety topic, supported by a guiding question. And this helps frame the conversation and keeps it aligned with the issues that are at hand. The emphasis is on understanding community perception, identifying areas of confusion or concern, and capturing feedback that reflects how services are experienced and understood throughout our community. And this structured approach moves the board beyond general discussion and gather input that is more specific, consistent, and directly applicable to our operations and our communication with the community. Next slide, please. As part of this engagement phase, the work plan includes several discussion areas related to law enforcement. These topics were selected because they consistently surface in the community conversations we hear and have a direct impact on public perception and public expectation. They include downtown safety, nuisance crime and disorder, homelessness, and drug-related activities. The intent is not to evaluate individual incidents or specific enforcement actions. Instead, the focus is on understanding how these issues are experienced by our community and what expectation the public has regarding safety, service, and accountability. And this approach allows us to better understand the range of community perspectives, align our communication, identify areas of concern and misunderstanding, and ensure that those perspectives are heard in a structured, balanced, and constructive way. Next slide, please. For fire and EMS, the focus of these discussions in your pamphlet there are both service demand and risk reduction. Currently, the department is averaging about 17 calls per day with a minimum staffing level of 5 personnel on duty. The majority of these calls are medical in nature, which is not well understood by the public. At the same time, we have recently implemented an annual fire and life safety inspection program. That program is focused on reducing risk within the community, particularly in the older buildings and our higher risk occupancies. And these inspections are an important part of our overall service delivery model, helping to prevent incidents before they occur and improve safety for both police and, for both public and for our personnel. And we will also discuss ambulance availability, reliability, and how high demand can impact response and overall system capacity. The intent is to provide a more complete understanding of how the system operates, both in terms of response and prevention, and to better understand public expectations around those services. Next slide, please. In addition to current operations, the work plan includes discussion for future-oriented public safety considerations. And these are topics that may not require immediate decisions or immediate action, but will require public understanding as we move forward. They include long-term service demand, staffing discussions, resource considerations, infrastructure and coverage needs, and potentially like regional service delivery models. The value of these discussions is not to make decisions at the board level, but to better understand how the community views these issues before they become more immediate. And this allows us to identify concerns early, improve communication, and ensure that when future decisions are considered, they are informed by a clearer understanding of our community's perspective. Next slide, please. The outcomes of this work plan are pretty straightforward. First, it improves overall understanding of how public safety services operate. Second, it creates a consistent and structured approach to gathering community input. Third, it supports more effective communication by helping us understand how information is being received and where further clarification may be needed. And finally, it strengthens alignment between community expectations and the realities of service delivery. Taken together, these outcomes support better decision-making, more effective communication, and a stronger connection between public safety agencies and the community we serve. At the next slide, please. At the conclusion of the work plan cycle, the board will develop an annual summary report. This report is intended to document the key discussion themes that emerged throughout the year, along with the community perspectives and concerns that were identified during those discussions. It's not intended to serve as a policy document or to provide formal recommendations. Rather, it provides council and city leadership with a structured summary of what the board has heard over the course of the last year. And this helps ensure that community input is captured in a consistent and transparent way and can be considered as part of future discussions and future decision-making points. And at this time, I'd like to turn it back to Chief Smith.
So thanks, Chief. So in summary, at risk of saying things that we've already said, from our perspective, the work plan strengthens the connection between the community and public safety agencies. We think that's really important, and we think that's a great opportunity in this plan. You've heard structured and consistent forum for public input, and it's really important for us, and I think in our departments and you, to allow an opportunity for us to better understand how our services are experienced and where expectations may differ from, actual operational reality. And informed decision-making, of course, I've got some examples over the years with the old board, which I think we were able to utilize them for that, in some projects and getting feedback up front that, like in one of the ones we were considering, gave me some really great feedback and caused me to go in a little bit different direction. But I think doing this in a structured way, there'll be a lot of value there. And of course, transparency, improving public understanding, and the work that police and fire do every day. So I guess in closing, we think the work plan provides a practical and balanced approach. It's something that volunteers that sign up for a brand new board could achieve and could be very excited and enthusiastic about being part of. structure, defining expectations and creating a consistent process for engaging with the community. And so we think next step would be implementing this plan with the all-new board, beginning this summer. So we look forward to continuing to, work with council, of course, and city leadership and evaluate and refine that process as needed. Our shared objectives remain the same: to provide effective, responsive public safety, of course, and maintaining a strong, informed connection with the community. So we look forward to council direction and questions, and of course, happy to answer any.
All right, I will open it up to council questions. I want to quickly check in with the clerk and city manager. There's no memo, but my sense would be, based on previous council action, that as a part of, I think this is a good plan. I'm happy to support it. I don't know that we need a motion to adopt it, but it would seem that if we want you to move forward with this, that we would need to give some direction to the ad hoc committee to begin recruiting and appointment process for Public Safety Advisory Board. Is that accurate?
Mayor, that's correct. And just to remind council, the motion provided previously by council, and I'm going to read that motion. On March 3rd, City Council unanimously approved a motion to continue to recruit for the Public Safety Advisory Board while the staff prepare a presentation to further discuss the work plan and the use of the board. So the hope is that this presentation then enabled us to come back to the ad hoc committee and begin the appointment by that committee, or at least for that committee to then forward those recommendations for appointments on to City Council.
Okay, so
but council affirmation of that this evening would be appreciated.
Okay. Do you want affirmation by motion, or just affirmation that nobody says no way?
Motion's always ideal.
Okay. John, go ahead.
I just wanted to comment on how thorough this is. I know, talking with previous members on the Public Safety Advisory Board, is this like kind of, I feel like this is the structure, and like gives them purpose for doing the work and knowing why they're doing it. So I really appreciate, based on my conversations, the thought and behind the purpose, the work plan, the topics, what your vision is for it. I think that's something that the community can really kind of capture and really know what to expect and how they can make their voices heard, whether it's through public comment or as a member on the board. So I just wanted to really thank you for the thought you put into this. I know, secret here, I don't like assigning homework. I'm a teacher, but I think you guys, I give you an A+ on this, so thanks.
Call him.
Thank you, John. Amy.
Thanks. I have a couple of logistical type questions. In the handout that is in front of us, it's a pretty aggressive start time. It seems like you're ready to go come June. So let's see, my first questions would be, if we want to, and that sounds great because then it gives us the full 6 months, but if we want to do that and it is May something already, and I believe our ad hoc committee leader is having a baby. So I guess I'm thinking about, I'm looking at Carrie mostly, because I think now she will be doing our scheduling, and how does that?
I'm happy to assist.
We can just make it work.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So again, you have this handout with the topics and the questions, and looks awesome. I'm already putting some on my schedule to make sure I watch after the fact. I really, really like it. I have no notes, no notes, except my question is, let's say in the middle of your schedule, you get new members. Sure. Would you they would just get plopped into the middle of that, or how would you rearrange? Because you do have like the 2 months for the launch and the orientations.
So I think, well, how I think it would work is the board chair and the board would consider that and actually decide how they wanted to proceed. And Chief Sharp and I would help in any regard. We looked at the calendar and the schedule and the number of applicants we have now, that if it all works out, we could, work through this and appoint a board and get that things launched in June, that meeting. If that doesn't work out, we'll push the schedule back and just, be flexible. But I would expect that the way this board works, there'll kind of be always new members coming in. That's been, the history. And so there'll kind of always be a process of kind of getting caught up. And, but if with 6 new people, it's a great opportunity to, kind of lay a foundation, and we're really looking forward to it. So.
Awesome. Like I said, it's a good time to also just remind folks who are not on our ad hoc committee that we do have, at least we did at some point have 6 applicants. We may have gotten more since then, that we need to sort of meet and move forward on them. Now I'm looking at Drew.
All right. Other comments or questions from council? Does anyone want to make a motion?
To make a motion to have the ad hoc committee move forward with applications for the Public Safety Advisory Board positions that are open.
Second.
Okay. Is that adequate, the motion work? Okay. Any further discussion? I guess I just have one comment, and that is I hope that this is a living document and that as the need or opportunity arises, that you're thinking flexibly about, we were going to talk about that in August, but something more pressing has come up, or we've got this great opportunity and we want this committee's input before it goes to council. That would be my only thought. And I'm guessing that was your idea, but just wanted to get the head nods. Okay, great. All right, so we have a motion to have the ad hoc committee move forward with appointments to the Public Safety Advisory Board. Anyone opposed to the motion, please state your opposition. All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
That is the end of the business part of our meeting, but I would like to suggest a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back for council reports and public comment. Oh, and city manager report too. So a 5-minute break. All right, we need to get started again. We have folks who've been waiting for a while for their second public comment. But we will go to council reports first, and I'm going to start with Latricia.
The only thing, the meeting that I've attended was the William Shore Memorial Pool meeting, where we resolved and discussed the pool voucher program. And so the program has been reinstated with the hours of 5:30 to 9. We're also working on developing policy around that program. Hopefully we'll kind of refer to, I see it as more of a community hygiene access program. And we had a lot of positive, probably the most people that have ever attended our William Shore Memorial Pool, both online and in person. It was amazing to see. We had a lot of positive feedback supporting to continue to support the program. As of the program being in existence, there's actually never been any issue with any user of the voucher program. And so that was good to hear from our interim director there. Also participated in interviews for the treasurer position for the William Shore Memorial Pool. So it's the only meeting that I've attended since our last city council meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. Drew.
As far as meetings since the last regular scheduled council meeting, the only one I attended was Tuesday the 28th. I did go to the Port Angeles Business Association's meeting that morning. Our Scott was able to give a nice presentation about public works and all the projects that we have coming up. And so I thought he did a great job with that. Coming up, there are quite a few things going on. Tomorrow is my agenda. Annual Clallam County, Annual Clallam County Key Leader Gathering at Field Hall. This week, I also have the Olympic Peninsula Tourism Commission stakeholder meeting, as well as the Recompete quarterly stakeholders meeting. There will be a bit of an overlap, so one of those meetings I will probably miss an hour of. Thankfully, they're both able to attend remotely, so it shouldn't be the end of the world. And then the following Tuesday on the 12th, I've got Elevate PA. And then that Wednesday should be the monthly chamber lunch as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Drew. Mark.
This is one of those times where I wish the mayor started from her left, because much of what I have to report, all of what I have to report has already been said. So I will just, Patricia stole my thunder there with the pool board. So I will just add to the calendar that PBH's annual gala is at 5 o'clock on May 7th, Field Arts and Events Hall.
Thank you. Amy.
Thanks. I'm like double clicking on my calendar because it doesn't look like I went to any meetings since our last council meeting, and that doesn't feel true. But I guess most of my meetings are in the later half of the month. I have met individually with some constituents, which have been fun. I also had the Key Leadership Gala on my calendar. Maybe I'll just take a minute to let folks know that we, the county of Clallam, got some unofficial numbers for our point in time count. You know, I like to bring that up when it does happen. It happened in January. We got some unofficial numbers, which just means that the state hasn't put their stamp on it. They do deduplication work, and generally speaking, it doesn't change. So unofficial, however, though, it looks like we have had a increase in what is labeled sheltered homeless. So individuals who are homeless but are utilizing either the shelter or other inside places. We've had an increase of about 46 individuals and a decrease in the unsheltered side of homelessness by 33. So we've had a small change there with a total number of 323 at this time. So I thought I would share that with you. And I know there is a note on our agenda for information only, but sometimes we don't get an awful lot of time to highlight that. So I do want to do that for just a second and ask that everybody take a look at the 2025 PAPD annual report. There's lots of good information and good stories and not good stories in here. And there's pictures. I come to realize that I think I don't know anyone on the force anymore by name, but it's really interesting. I haven't read every page just yet. I will highlight page 83 here where they show Sergeant Miller and his retirement. I think that's ridiculous, but would highly recommend folks take a look at this if they have any questions or want to know what the police department has been up to. And maybe if there is time, the staff or chief will highlight something from the report if they're interested. And I was going to just throw out there that, again, haven't finished reading the report, but I am interested in hearing more about how we might shore up some of our volunteer programs with the police department. I think that would be a good conversation at some point to have. Thanks.
Thank you, Amy. John.
Thank you. Like Mark, I'm very thankful you went the other way this week. Thank you. So I've actually been a lot of places since our last meeting. So on the 22nd, I attended the solid waste, Cobb County Solid Waste Advisory Committee at the courthouse. Director Curtin was there too. We are just starting the process of looking over chapter by chapter the comprehensive plan. So I felt like there was a lot of good discussion. We went through one chapter, didn't quite get through the other, but we're going to get to there. We had conversations about the landfill, the transfer station capacity, recycling, all sorts of stuff that I didn't know about, especially outside of Port Angeles. So that was good. And Director Curtin gave a lot of good insights and spoke very well for the city. So I feel like it'll be a good process. We just got to be involved in and aware of. On the 27th, I had a meeting with Dave Walter at the CRTC to learn about what they're doing as BNM. We had a great conversation about my thoughts on AI as a teacher. And that was great. And I saw some of the great innovative things they're doing, what they want to do. So I feel like they're a great partner to look at. And we're planning on going back this month for a tour of this kind of seeing the operation. I had a sick kiddo, so I couldn't stay the whole time, but I was able to kind of get a sense, see some of the stuff they're doing with wood fiber and carbon fiber over there. It's pretty incredible, and his outlook for what he perceives they could do and bring to Port Angeles and Cobb County. So that was really exciting. On the 30th, no, it was the 30th. I don't remember what day it was. Oh, backtrack on I don't remember. On the 24th, sorry, I went to with my wife, I went to the PAEF Gala at the Field Arts Hall, the Port Angeles Education Foundation. We heard a great speech from a Dr. Stacy Sorensen, a PA graduate who does neuroscience and brain research. They unveiled a new logo, which was, cool. It was great to hear what other teachers in the district have done with the funds to help our students through civics, through visiting Victoria, through other opportunities that are unique that we wouldn't get any other way. Superintendent Michelle also talked about their strategic partnership and their help with some of the struggles with the district and funding. So it was great to hear the partnerships there. And then let's see here. Now we're in May. What's that? On Friday I had a day off and I went to so I met with Carmen Geyer at the Port Angeles Senior Center. I've never been anywhere else but the cafeteria, so that was great to kind of see. I got to kind of see all the programs you do. I met some of the board members there. They were very nice. Gary Smith is a new board member. We had a conversation, talk about stuff. I met a really great group of seniors that were sitting in the cafeteria, and I look forward to going back and talking with that group to hear everything that I'm doing wrong and get some feedback. They offered that to me. I'm like, I'll take you up on that. So expect to see me there sometime after school's out. On Saturday, I went to the in my individual capacity, I went to the opera the Port Angeles Symphony put on. It was amazing. I really appreciate the arts they bring to our community, and look forward to hearing it in a renovated new auditorium in 3 years. Moving forward between now and our next meeting, I was also planning on attending the Key Leader tomorrow at the Field Hall. On the 12th, there is a UAC meeting here at 3 o'clock. And then on the 18th is the next MRC meeting that I will be attending. And then that's it for me.
Thank you. I will just briefly mention 2 highlights. One, I went and joined, felt a little briefer than I had originally intended, but spent a couple hours down at the waterfront as part of the Spruce Up, working with the Faro Marine Life Center board. And also it was really fun to watch 2 of our staff members. Like, maybe it's a great day to be a staff member because you get to use the power tools. So Chief Smith and Corey did a great job, along with some other staff, of clearing out a very large section of blackberries. And I'm sure that was a lot of work, but also rewarding work because you could step back and immediately see a huge difference. So I picked up a fair amount of garbage, and I know staff does a good job of keeping that area pretty tidy. So mostly cigarette butts and stuff like that. But that was fun. And I think it was always rewarding to see the efforts of the community. And then since the last time, on Friday the 24th, I think, of April, the chiefs and I finally took our field trip to Victoria, and that was a great day. And so I would encourage all of you to talk to them about their experiences. But we learned some things about how we are the same, how we were different, and maybe came away with an opportunity for, or at least opened the door for, some possibility of large scale emergency disaster kind of drills with Victoria Fire Department and their EOC team. So that would be fun and exciting, because as it turns out, and will not be surprising to folks who pay a lot of attention, we spend a lot of time worrying about very similar issues. So might as well know how each other is going to respond to those issues, and know that we can work together, because some of them will be, hey, there's a disaster in the middle and we're all going to respond. So that was great. And I will end there and turn it over to City Manager West. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Do we just want to also let the community know that starting Sunday, May 10th is the Esprit Gala conference happening here in the community?
Yes, thank you.
So they've been going strong for a long time.
Yes.
So that does start May 10th. And
thank you for the reminder.
They've been coming here for decades, so we'll welcome them with open arms.
Yes. And sorry, I thought of another one that I made a note, but it is in the wrong spot on my agenda. It sounds like a number of folks are going tomorrow evening. Do we need to notice that? Do we need to do a quick count? It's a public event. I mean, it's a little bit like the Chamber Gala or other things where we don't, but we may all be there. But it seems very relevant in a different way to the work that we do. And I just want to make sure we don't all show up and then
Mayor,
a little late.
while we're really grateful for that event, and it is a community-sponsored event to recognize all the great work done by members of this community, it is not an opportunity for council members to gather together and speak about city business. And I think just maintaining separation and avoiding any get-togethers of 4 or more council members is the preferred approach.
Great. And it's also a little late. So, okay. It was on my calendar, but I didn't think about everyone else's calendars as well. So, great. We will treat it like other public events like that. All right. Now, go ahead. Thanks.
So Mayor and Council, many of you covered a number of things that I also participated in. Did want to highlight that on behalf of Mayor Dexter, I was able to read a proclamation at the Volunteers Recognition Brunch at the Senior Center. And just really amazing how much those volunteers put into ensuring the Senior Center is successful on an annual basis. Carmen Geyer did an exceptional job, our Senior Center manager, of professionally thanking all of them and recognizing them at that event. It was a really special event, and encourage everyone to attend if you can next year. Additionally, want to note that on May 26th, we have a city council work session to discuss the capital facilities plan from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Again, that's May 26th. And I'm going to turn over a short bit of time to Chief Smith to share his favorite highlight from the police department annual report.
Thank you, Manager West. So favorite highlight, that's kind of a tough one. But I'll go with the picture on the cover because my staff insisted that be on there. I thought it was a little dorky, or I didn't like how I looked, but it was the reason for the picture was a tribute to somebody who was going through a hard time, and we sent that picture to that person. So that made the cover. So the report, we love putting it together. It takes a while, and we write it for the community. We write it for our coworkers. We write it for, you, council, and it's an accreditation requirement that started back. The oldest one I've got's early 2000s. Our website's got them back that far. I've found a couple of older ones, but they were pretty basic. All the divisions in the department prepare their own version, and then we edit it and mix it together. Lead record specialist Katie Butler, many of you know her. She was the editor, and Deputy Chief Ada was her assistant. That's how I'd put that. And we had some help from other people of editing, reading, reviewing it. So what I'd say about the report, it brings to life people, actual people, and the work they do, like what they actually do. And, it's important to remember that obviously the officers and the staff are people, but the people we serve are also people. Victims of crime are real people. And what you'll see in that report, some of the stories, like some of the, sad and tragic things, these are real crimes with real victims, but I'm tremendously proud of our staff. And I'll just point out something, and Manager West asked me my favorite. Well, favorite's kind of hard, but Detective Sergeant Corey Malone wrote a really moving tribute to George Cecil David. It was a murder case that we closed out last year that started in 2016. And our staff has gotten to know the family. And I've learned a lot about things around it I didn't know about. And, nobody asked Detective Sergeant to do that, but I like the fact that tribute to George is in there. And I know the family was in on it and agreed to it, but that's just an example of the humanity that our staff brings to this. And the last thing I would say is for people that say don't like the idea of the police, I'll challenge anybody, read the report and come talk to me or come talk to my staff and tell me how you think after you read it. Because we're not an abstract idea, we're an actual real thing. We provide real service, we're real people. We care about this community. We care about what we do. And I think you see in the report, people do hard work. It's challenging, but it's very satisfying. And they really are proud to be doing what they do. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. Oh, and Councilmember Miller, I know you had a question about volunteers, right? You threw that in there. So the answer to your question is we have 3 active volunteers. We lost a big group of them for a lot of reasons, and we have a capacity issue in kind of bringing that program back. We have value added programs that we like Home Watch, our special events, our vehicle transports, a number of things that they're proven. And like I told you, I just corresponded with somebody tonight who applied and we haven't got back to them. So I'm hoping by maybe the end of summer, we've got that program moving again. And then once we get a core of volunteers, they run the thing with a little bit of help from us. So it's just spending the time and finding the people and getting them through the process. Thank you for noticing that.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to our second public comment period. So if you are joining us virtually, please raise your hand if you wish to make a comment at this time. And we will start in council chambers, and I'm going to start with the folks who signed up earlier. So we will go to Sherry Kidd first.
Yes, good evening again. I'm Sherry Kidd, resident of Port Angeles, and I've really enjoyed this evening. I'm so glad I'm here, and thank you for the vote on the 4 new police officers. That's excellent. I came here tonight to thank you for your service and let you know how much we enjoy having you out amongst us in the community. I enjoyed all your reports and the places you go. I fortunately get to run into the mayor and out and about, and it's just great. And Mark and Drew, we like you. We vote for you. So, y'all come. We just love it when you're in the community. So thank you so much. And so I'm here tonight to let you know about our annual Clallam County Community Service Awards that are taking place tomorrow evening at the Senior Center. We have lots of food, big reception at 6:30, and at 7 o'clock, we are going to have the most amazing, uplifting, inspiring program. This year, the Peninsula Daily News and the Noon Seroptimist are partnering with the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Olympic Peninsula. So for the first time, we have 3 youth awardees that have just been outstanding. We have so many great kids in our community. We're going to start with the kids, and then we have some volunteers. You've just talked about volunteers at the senior center. Our community, the foundation of our community is these great volunteers. We are honoring people who have been volunteering for decades. The first one is Ed Bedford. Ed was born and raised here, and he gives, I think he makes soda just to give away the money, Bedford soda. But anyway, we're honoring 4 fabulous volunteers that have been doing things for decades. And then for the very first time this year, we had a nomination for a 99-year-old volunteer active. She's a member of the Noon Kiwanis Club, Jerry Tiedemann. So we're going to end with a special Lifetime Achievement Award for our 99-year-old. It's just going to be amazing. So it's going to be the Senior Center. I just want to make sure you're certainly invited. And again, to thank you for being out in the community. That's what we love when you come and join our meetings. And I have to quickly say, Nathan did a fabulous job on this State of the City address at the Field Hall. And then I think Calvin Goins knows the name of every person in town. He will shake hands with everybody, knows their names. And Scott Curtin's doing a great job. It's a dream to drive down 8th Street and up Race. So thank you, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. All right, Wayne Kraut. And I have one hand online, but we'll finish in council chambers first.
Yes, I'm Wayne Kraut, and I'm a 12-year resident of Port Angeles. I came this evening to speak on the question about the ICE facility, but since you've deferred that, we'll shorten my remarks. I just want you to understand there's a significant portion of this town that's opposed to such a facility, not only because of the dishonorable and disreputable behavior of the institution in question, but also because of the effect it would have on our city services. Such a facility would overburden our water, power, sewer, city services such as fire and police, medical treatments. It just doesn't fit for this community, and we really would like you to understand that it's not wanted here. If you've ever had the opportunity to come by our demonstrations for like No King's Day and Indivisible, and that you'll see the citizens who really don't want anything to do with such a facility. So keep that in mind when you're making a consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie Brummond.
Hi, I'm Jackie Brummond. I've been here since Halloween of last year. I lived at Serenity for a short time, and my dog unfortunately had gotten kicked out for me not putting the muzzle on her when we were sleeping for life. So I'm stuck out there, homeless on the truck route, and for the community to make it illegal for us to camp would be very detrimental for me, especially because I'm doing my IOP. And for those of you who don't know what IOP is, it's intensive outpatient. And I am following it to the T. I'm going back to school for my GED. And after that, going to school for backwash irrigation. And I just need a safe place where I can lay my head and be safe. And I have that right now. And I've also talked with some of my other fellow homeless people who are looking to get into an IOP situation themselves. But they're also worried about being kicked out of where we're at because we have no place to go, you know, and harm reduction and rediscovery and reflections of who I am going through has really been very helpful to me. I have a fellow group person that goes with me that has family members that own property. So I'm not going to be out there very much longer. But to the other people that are stuck out there, we just need someplace where we can dump our garbage. I've gotten together with some of the fellow campers out there, and we've cleaned up the place. You can go down there now and not find rigs and trash everywhere. You know, there still are a few of them that are messy. Mine's still in the works of getting put together, but it's not a mess. And we just need some support. And unlike some of the people that are out there, I don't make money. I don't get money every month. They do. Some of them do. And we're not all bad. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have one hand online. Oh, anyone else in council chambers? Go ahead, come on down. And just your name and whether or not you're a resident. And
Denise Williamson, I'm an in-city resident. I just want to comment that hearing that the increase in police services, I know as a retired teacher, I always wanted to say, if you walk a mile in my shoes, you would understand the problem. So I haven't walked with the police force. I don't know how necessary it is. And I don't know about the increase in ambulance services. I just want to comment that will you please be careful with raising our taxes when that's necessary, because I can personally cite 3 incidences where people called and asked for an ambulance not to show up, and 2 ambulances showed up regardless. And I believe that we all pay a fee for that. So I just want to ask you in the future to be careful about the taxes, raising the taxes for us to cover that, and maybe consider with your board the right to refusal. I've been at the pool myself, I've fallen, and I asked them not to get an ambulance, and they would not allow me to claim my own right to not get in that ambulance and go to the hospital over something silly. So maybe you can consider that with your board, that there are sometimes when people need to have the right to refuse an ambulance so that we're not all paying for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I saw another hand. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Sharon Dimmick. I'm a Port Angeles resident, and I came tonight to speak about the issue of ICE detention facilities. I hope you're all aware that 18 people have died in ICE detention facilities this calendar year. And some of them have died. One was choked by a guard. Some of them have died because of lack of medical care. Our Representative Emily Randall has been to facilities and documented poor quality food. And these facilities are immoral, and no one should have to live in the conditions that they have in them. And I just beg you, please, if you have a choice, do not allow one of these facilities to be constructed in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And because we've had a couple comments about it, I just do want to say, at this time, there is no one has come with a proposal for that. I appreciate wanting to be proactive. So I just wanted to make sure, because some of the emails that we got made it sound like people thought that we were currently considering a proposal for permitting. And I want to be clear that it is not on, there's no project of that nature that we are aware of. So, and I think we would be aware because they would be going through the city. So, normally I don't respond, but just wanted to make that clear because we have heard from a number of people about it. So just want to make that clarification. But thank you for coming and speaking. And then we have one hand online, Renee again, and I will get my timer ready.
Can you hear me?
I can. So I have my timer ready. So go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, Renee Paradis, Clallam County resident. I just want to appreciate the comments that were made earlier about not over-policing. I appreciated those comments. I did attend a previous meeting. I'm afraid I don't know the date. It was in April, perhaps, when there was a lot of houseless people who reported unprofessional and I couldn't find the word. I'm going to say antagonistic behavior towards them. I'd like to speak to the training of the individuals and the level of professionalism. I've made this in written comment. I believe the city partnering with 4PA needs to be reevaluated. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another hand, Ellen. Minshew, when you are unmuted, I will start your time. Sometimes it takes a minute.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you. I submitted written comment. Let me start. I'm Ellen Minshew. I live in the county. I submitted written comment on the possibility, or not necessarily the possibility, requesting that the city take a stand on a moratorium for no ICE facilities in the city. I also sent it to the Board of County Commissioners, and I appreciate the fact that nothing is planned here now, but I also want to just reiterate that it is important for governmental agencies to take a stand, because everyone that does has an impact on a statewide request for a moratorium as we move further up the chain, requesting this for the entire state with our governor. So I would encourage the city council to consider that in making a decision, and our board of county commissioners as well. And I just want to also add that hearing Jackie's comment just a few moments ago about being unhoused and the struggle that she faces, I commend the city council for the work that you're doing. And I think we're all looking forward to the May 19th meeting to see what the proposal comes back as with what you tasked the city staff to try to prepare. And again, I really commend the city council, and I wish that our county commissioners were doing the same thing. And also, I ask you to please consider the human factor. That comment that Jackie made was so powerful, and I have been one of many volunteers who have been to the city. It's called the Tree Park Collective now, but it's the lunch that is served to our unhoused and food insecure people in the Jesse Webster Park every Saturday. Please, if you have some time, council members, please come and stop by and see and put some faces to the stories that you're hearing and the vitriol that exists in our community about the people who are living on the streets. Yes, many have addiction problems, but many are just suffering from loneliness and from the lack of not having any shelter. And it's important for us to not get caught in the echo chamber of the vitriol and understand that these are human beings who need community. They need friendly faces and smiles, and they need support from all of us. And thank you for the work that you're doing. And please come by the park if you have time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I don't see any other hands online and nobody else here who's wishing to speak. So we are adjourned, and we will see you on the 19th. Thank you all very much, and have a good night.